It's all come down to this. 4x4 and Roodood bringing you the CBLOL Split 1 finals. Of course, it is Los Grandes versus Furia, as we all predicted at the beginning of the split. Roodood, this is wild. I mean, we expected Furia to be in and about here, but after Los Grandes, kind of as one of the also rans, I think we can fairly describe them. They get knocked out by Fluxu. Again, another one of these, oh, this could be fun in 2027 sort of teams, or this could be fun in Split 2 sort of teams. But they make it all the way here, and in doing so, tonked Red Canids 3-0. Now, Red Canids, you know, they haven't won a title since Grevthar. Let's put that out there. They've got some soul searching to do, but Roodood, they're here, man. Los Grandes could go to MSI.
They could, and you know what? With the run they're on, it wouldn't even be surprising, I want to say, that might happen, because with the way that they sort of destroyed everybody, other than Fluxu, weirdly.
Yeah, that's their boogeyman.
Yeah, and you know, they had a good series up against Loud, but they've handled like our better teams, quote unquote, with very little difficulty. You know, we were on I think Trajan and I on the call for when they slapped VKS and sent them out 3-0 last week. They did pretty much the same thing to Red. So hey, this is an opportunity now for them to really show themselves in a final that maybe we would have expected them to do in split number one, or in the cup. Sorry, this is split one, but that we definitely hadn't expected them to come out with in this series or this set of playoffs rather.
You can see in the bottom right, Robo will never leave the CBLOL. The CBLOL will never leave Robo, our all-time champion. Taking a pause in his competitive career, but still bringing out that beautiful CBLOL trophy. Yeah, whoever wins this final goes right into the group stage at MSI, which is kind of terrifying to me.
Mm.
But hey, we we wanted more respect. Here you go. Have fun
Yeah.
against Genji.
Game one. Good luck. And you know that's the power, I suppose, that whoever wins is going to have to battle up against. And if Brazil, like you say, have been asking, and we have, for that element of respect, that hey, you know, take us seriously. This is what taking you seriously looks like at the end of the day. So we'll see how well that bodes for us when we get to the actual main stage. But for now, of course, we've got a finals to manage, and we've got to make sure that we get through that without too many difficulties either. And again, I like this little showcase that we've got from the bottom of the screen. This is a very young final rather. We've got some young
Mhm.
players on both sides with Tatu and Dudu, still in their teens, right? Not even in their 20s
Yep.
yet. So having a lovely old time playing on the final stage where Tatu, you know, already had a little bit of a showing at international as well.
Yep. Tatu technically has never been a CBLOL champion, but he did win, LTA South in 2025 and got to MSI obviously, and that was kind of I think for a lot of Brazilian fans, what we still hold on to was, oh my god, we took G2 to 5 games, right? And that's this current iteration of G2. Still looked really really good, and kind of tripped over the final hurdle in Game 5, tripped over the final hurdle against Gam, but this team still has clearly a lot of potential, and like you said, Roodood, really young teams on both sides. And I heard from the promo video that the CBLOL put out, the youngest average age of all 6 regions, right? If you're counting, China, Korea, Europe, NA, PCS, and Brazil. So across all the teams, still a very, very young region. And I mean, and that really tracks, right? I mean, with Robo retiring, with Tino's retiring, the new guard is very much here, and they're ready to take over, right? And it's cool that you've got guys protagonizing that are Tatu, excuse me, and Dudu. I say that 5 times fast. But why don't we go kind of let's talk through these rosters as the players get kind of called out here. We'll let our producer Trajan put up whatever roster he wants, and we'll be surprised by it because I think
Yeah.
there are a lot of very fascinating matchups that we could go through here, and especially for Los Grandes, right? Kind of peaking at the right time. I think the place where I think we all kind of where I want to start anyway is in the top lane because Zest right now looks kind of unflappable. He looks just extremely, really, really solid, but that's also kind of been Gigo's playbook. He has looked
Yeah.
extremely solid. They've taken him kind of off carry duty and just said, look, get up there, play the occasional Mbessa, but otherwise it's Sion, it's Ornn. Be Gigo from Red Canids and let the rest of the kiddos just kind of run riot.
Yeah, and I think that for the most part, this is going to be a problem actually for Furia in this series because Zest has been very frequently getting targeted with the bans like your Vayne, like your Varus, like even Kennen as well, maybe up on that top side. We've seen a large propensity from both of these teams to play a specific style of top laner. Zest has been playing to carry, where Gigo has been there to weather the storm, make sure that everything's okay, but not necessarily be the leading driving force rather for any modicum of damage as we sort of look through the top lane for this one. I know we've not got rosters here for these sides because we can see them all on the bottom anyway. It doesn't particularly matter. But
True.
Gigo up on the top side for Furia, Tatu in the jungle, Tuts in the mid lane, the perennial play to your power curve, play to the opponent mid laner. And then I don't want to call him the stalwart marksman just yet, but he has been around for a good long time. Ayu down on that bot side, sort of defending his crown as the best Brazilian AD carry, I'd say, currently in the league, with Jojo down on the bot side.
Yep, Ayu and Jojo down on that bot side, like you said, and then in the mid lane as well. I think is also another fascinating matchup because Feisty. We talk about kind of like as Los Grandes kind of rose up. It was like, oh, Peach has stopped trolling, and Dudu and Ackerman, they're kind of good, but then Ackerman has really stepped up in the series against Red Canids. He had some really good plays, and then Feisty also has really stepped up. Right, they had a jungle swap, Drake hero to Curse. That seems to have coincided with Peach is on. Here's on Flow 2. Los Grandes swapping over to Curse, a little more experienced head. And as he has kind of found his niche within the team, right? I kind of pigeonholed him as like, okay, well, if they put Curse on just like these tank and spank junglers, right? In the series against Fluxu, when he didn't play Sejuani and Maokai and Skarner, they lost. When they did, they won. And then he kind of bucked that trend against Red Canids and against a really good jungler in Steps. Now, I think Steps, the book on Steps is being rewritten a little bit, which is hilarious because Red famously dumped Curse in favor of Steps. And now Curse is in a CBLOL final after 3-0ing his old team. But he did it on picks like the Pantheon and the Nefiri. So he's expanded in the span of the kind of last couple weekends. He's expanded his winning champion pool just a little bit. And so the mid jungle is something I'm really looking at because Tuts, to me, right, he's been the X factor for this team in the sense of if he cannot get bodied and just kind of do his job, you don't need him to hard carry you a game. But if he can give you like a 7 out of 10 performance, that is when Furia can really shine. And he's, again, sort of like Gigo. I hate to say it, but he's been almost like, this is going to sound, I can't think of another word right now, neutered in terms of like, he's not on the Tuts Akali, right? We're not seeing that because that just doesn't tend to go well for him. He's just on control mage duty. He is on sometimes Galio duty. And again, we have carved themselves out that identity. But with Los Grandes, they have had a little bit more oomph in the mid jungle. And so I'm interested to see kind of whether, whether it sort of reminds me of the conversation with Zest, right? Can Gigo and Touch just kind of weather the storm, right? As we get into draft, the madness that Los Grandes is going to give us.
And no better time to find out than just now. I think Los's biggest weakness for me through this playoffs have been those drafts in those sort of 5-game series. They've been putting themselves in pigeonholes that they don't particularly know how to get out of, and then in the games where they do pretty well and they succeed very easily, has had very different look, and they've been very successful with those standard style compositions. Now, very frequently at this stage, we've seen fans going towards things like Varus, even sometimes early on looking at taking out Vayne from Zest, but neither of those two picks taken off the board just yet. A lot of bot lane focus by Los, and Furia instead are going to react by almost double banning the jungle, and then getting Nautilus off the board as well in lieu of this first pick Bard.
Now that I did not see coming. Maybe a bit of a takeaway, but Jojo, look, he's good on Engage supports, but Enchanter supports, we're still kind of in that meta. Engage is starting to come back a little bit, and I think if we get to kind of game 4, game 5, we're going to see that Nautilus ban fall to the wayside in favor of something else. But with the Seraphine ban taken away, especially into Ayu and Jojo, that is something that, they're not going to play that without one or the other. Instead, it'll be Sivir. So going to put Ayu on a hyper carry, playing for that late game. Meanwhile, on the other side, it is Jarvan locked in for Curse. And again, this is not a tank and spank jungler, but it's certainly a ganking jungler. So we'll see where he wants to get his teeth cut pre-level 6.
Yeah, I do like this opening here for Los. They ban away the Caitlyn, they pick up the Ezreal for themselves and take the Jarvan at the same time. Basically just saying, if you want to get out of this cataclysm, you have to take Lucian and Nami. And that's about your only option here. Maybe, you go for Kaisazeri, something that we tend to see a little bit lower down in the pool, but in terms of those higher prio marksmen, they've not got the opportunity to do that. And now the Alistar locked in for Los as well means that they are going full all in, all gas, no brakes, and that's going to give them a real opportunity here to find success through the early stages of this game. Like to see them hit that level 6, start making things happen. They need some solo laners now to support that. And I do think that they can still slightly pivot this composition if they choose to, right? There's an option for them to say, well, we've got everything that we need to go forward with. These are our engaged champs. Now we just need damage everywhere else.
Twisted Fate and Anivia going to be banned away. Yeah, it's just the solo laners left in this draft. Jungle and bot lane has been grabbed. Does this feel like, all right, we're going to leave both these bottom laners alone, right? Ezreal, you can kind of leave by himself. Bard loves to get the hell out of lane. So are we going to see, you imagine, a lot of Ackerman and JoJo kind of being those secondary junglers, playing that chess in the early game?
Yeah. It's entirely possible, and I'd like to see that be the case, actually, because with how these two junglers have been, I guess, playing throughout the duration of this split, it seems to fit their niche that they can do that. But I'm looking at these bans so far for Y4 Rumble. I don't know if he's been like I don't know, just nerfed to oblivion very randomly, but no Rumble whatsoever so far, and we've still got top lane picks to go with Sion available as well. So I'm looking at that pick and thinking that could very well get taken, as both of these teams also still need a pick.
Yeah, it feels like he's fallen by the wayside. And to your point, I had just assumed he caught a silver bullet in the patch notes somewhere, but I guess we'll see him later in the split. Oriana has gotten through, and that's something that I think this is still could be really, really deadly, especially for Los Grandes. I mean, for both competitions, to be fair, you've got a ball delivery system, but instead it will be the Rise locked in for Los Grandes. Feisty going to be grabbing himself one of the premier late game champions to be that bulwark against, or as you say, be that counterpunch against the Sivir damage in the late game.
And honestly, we look at the bans here that Los went for. It's no surprise. It's Anivia and Cassio, the two premier answers to the Rise that have been taken off the board. I think that the time wasted on the clock there is to think about potential top lane answers, the counterpick that Los can look for, and what Zest can look to do. Obviously, Gigo has looked very heavily toward these tanks with the Sion getting locked into him.
Bam.
I'm going to be curious to see whether this is Zest going, all right, well, now you've given me the Vayne angle. Now you've given me that angle to go for these marksmen that have been so frequently banned. Are we going to see Varus get locked in and a experimental Hexplate Dusk and Dawn type style build get picked up? Or is it just going to be that Rumble pick, something that we see so frequently answered into the Sion? Plenty of options, and I think that Zest on carries is definitely the better way to go about things here if I'm a Los fan.
That is where I would lean as well. Now, the Yone will be locked in, so you could send Ryzer to the top lane, but it'll most likely be the Yone in the top lane. We're not. Okay, that will be in fact what it is. So, all right, so you've got Zest on a carry, but you've got him on the Yone into the Sion. What say you?
I say good. Like this is a carry. This is something Zest can have agency on. Also, not like the easiest thing to try and itemize against as the Sion. The Yone actually has not a good amount, but a decent amount of magic damage built into his kit with every other auto dealing half magic damage. But it does mean that you can make plays as well. And Yone, a pick that is 100% win rate currently through the CBLOL, leans into their style of dive composition. You've got the Jarvan and the Alistar. Now the Yone on top of that as well. You've got the Rise and the Azure to sit back and do consistent DPS, and there's plenty of setup for them to do that. I look over at Furia's side, though, and they've got a very aggressive composition themselves with the Ahri, the Pantheon. The ability to make plays early around this mid lane and kind of punish this Rise as well, something that needs to be respected by Feisty.
The thing that's coming into my head is if Furia don't get themselves to the late game, it feels to me like Los Grandes have more avenues to play through, whereas Furia, look, you've got a bona fide tank, you've got one of the best tank players in the league piloting said tank, but in the mid lane, it's an Ahri, right? It is a supportive mid laner, and it's kind of just on IU, and that makes me a little bit nervous when you've got just kind of a one carry composition. Now, it's a Sivir, it's IU on that Sivir, so I can't be too worried, but the alarm bells are starting to not go off, but we're setting up the alarm bells. We're plugging them in.
Yeah, we're just making sure that people are aware, hey, this isn't going to be as easy as you might think. If the Sivir gets felled, slain, caught by any form of Yone/Jarvan combo, it's going to be lights out. The spotlight here for game number 1, Tartu versus Dudu. The two young guns, one on either side, looking to send themselves to MSI.
Into game 1 we go. Nothing too crazy as far as the runes are concerned. Electrocute on the Ahri. Be a man, Tuts. Yes, I like to see that. But yeah, I think that's something else you mentioned. Getting onto the Sivir, right? You've got a spell shield, and Tatu and Giga are most likely going to be going forward. So that's another thing that I'm looking at is how do you peel for IU? Because like you said, Ezreal can get in on a long range. Flash Headbutt Pulverize for Ackerman is a thing that you can use. The Realm Warp, you can reposition yourself very well. And of course, Zest and Curse. That's what you pointed out, and that is the main thing you're watching out for, is you can clear the screen in 2 clicks of a button. So that's what I'm looking at, is how can Furia protect IU? And how can IU position himself in that way? Going with the barrier, which I like, because into Zest and Curse, guess what? Cleanse doesn't do anything.
It's knock up, and then stuck in the middle of a rock formation that will just take you out. So, yeah, barrier, good. Ghost also pretty poor versus Jarvan, just as far as late game hyper carry options go. But a good trade taken initially by Los down on that bot side. Does look like IU has been able to wrestle back control of that wave using the Ricochet nice and early. That's the power of the Sivir, especially against an Ezreal. You can just take control over the lane really early on. We are seeing that there are some struggles on that top side for Zest as he's taking just a couple of rough trades, but he has got the Doran's bow, a good amount of health potions as well in the back pocket with that. Looking at our junglers, though, interested more so in Tartu for the early stages of this clear. His ability to get things going on the Pantheon early, more present, a lot more easy to execute as well.
Both junglers clearing top to bottom. And you kind of identified it, Roodood. If IU goes down early, right? If they can sort of farm him, as you know, Ezreal doesn't do the most damage, but again, at level 6, this composition, I mean, both, you know, to a lesser degree, because Tatu, you do have a semi-global response to Feisty's semi-global ultimate, but this composition for Los Grandes can explode at level 6. The amount of damage that you can do and the amount of lockdown that you can get is really, really deadly. Tatu on his signature pick here, it kind of feels like, I don't know, it almost feels like we're getting like the best form of both of these teams really early on here.
Yeah, and one of my criticisms, of Los had been Feisty. To be fair, coming into the playoffs, I don't think that he'd had the most amazing split, but coming out of the playoffs, he started a little bit ropey in his series versus Fluxu, but, you know, since then, we've seen some very high highs from this mid laner who, again, not, you know, very well indoctrinated into the CBLOL necessarily, but finding himself in a finals so early on is definitely good work. I'd like to see what he can do here up against Tuts, who's sort of the player who's had the run of the majority of these mids. Kaze, notably one of our better mid laners, got kind of bodied by Feisty last week. So there's a real opportunity for Feisty to stake his claim on the CBLOL.
This kind of reminds me of the 2021 finals, the Renzga versus Red finals, where you had kind of
on the mountain.
That was the one on the on Sugarloaf on the mountain.
Yeah,
that where you had a kind of established Brazilian team, like all Brazilians in Furia. When Jojo was on that, Jojo and Gigo were on that team as well. So. But then on the other side, you had Los Grandes, who were kind of this, you know, Renzga in this metaphor, that were a couple of like, oh yeah, I know, you know, some of these players. Kiari was on that team, which is insane that Kiari got to a CBLOL final before like so many players. And then you had Yuri and Croc, right? Two kind of lesser known, newer Koreans to the CBLOL, and then a couple of Brazilian plug and play guys. They fell a little bit short, which if you're asking for a prediction, no one is, but I do think Los fall short here. I think Furia still are, you know, the better team. But as I put it on the podcast, for me, the only team that are beating Furia today are Furia.
Yeah, entirely possible, and they're going to have to beat themselves 3 times to extend that metaphor for it to be a problem. I do think, in fairness, Los can probably take a game, maybe even 2.
Yeah.
And then if Furia lose one of their own, then hey, we've suddenly found ourselves with Los coming away our split 1 champions. And so far in this early stages of this game, I think that it's so good for Los. Obviously very even, very neutral through the early stages of this game, but I do think that Los have the slightly better scaling composition. Definitely a little bit more worried for Furia as this game gets later. There are tools to deal with the Scion. There are ways to kill the Sivir. I think that with those 2 things in mind, it's definitely a concern for Furia. If they don't get off to the races early on, could find themselves in a little bit of trouble.
Still no blood spilled. We had a little bit of movement as Ackerman and Curse were kind of joined up and trying to get something going on a different part of the map. But now level 6s are starting to come in, so you might see some all-ins. Gigo did use the Unstoppable Onslaught there, and gotta flash the thumbs up, say, yeah, you know, I tried. Didn't work out. But Gigo immediately itemizing into that raw armor. Like you said, Roodood, the itemization is a bit of a challenge. Tatu level 5, Curse level 5 as well. The junglers haven't hit level 6. Which, if Curse digs level 6 in the middle of this fight, that is going to be massive. Caught up in the Rune Prison as Feist able to nab Tatu. Flashes into a very questionable decision as the...
Oh, down bot lane as well. Dudu going
IU is just dead. Dudu.
That's a massive set of kills for Los. Again, the composition that doesn't mind sitting back, doesn't mind scaling, coming out with a couple of kills early on. it's the low spot lane that really benefit with Ackerman kind of taking away first blood there on the top side, but taking down Tartu all the same. Excellent start for Los as they put themselves out to a 1,500 gold lead.
I got to get another look at this because Tatu flashing back over the wall felt to me like he was like kind of trying to think 2 steps ahead of like, oh, someone's going to flash, onto me and maybe I can get out, kind of going the other way. That felt like he was trying to get too cute. Okay, let's get, because maybe there's something I'm missing here, but tell me what you see with this Tatu flash.
I see what is objectively just a bad flash. Unfortunately, there's no way in, there's no way out. Like, unless they're communicating here, one shot the level 4 Alistair, then maybe, but I don't think there's ever a way that ends up looking good. Roodood here to look at what happens down on that bot side, recognizes with no Boomerang Blade, the Sivir quite weak. Roodood just goes in. Q flash is a very neat trick there to make sure that he's able to catch IU, not slacking necessarily, but just a little bit unawares. He does manage to secure that 1v1 kill down on the bot side.
Saw the Boomerang Blade went down, and IU even got a spell shield off to mitigate some of that damage. And I think he did not have barrier, or that, unless it's a much shorter cooldown than I remember.
Yeah, he did. They both barriered.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, the cooldowns are the same. You're right. Yeah. So Roodood kind of did maximum damage Ezreal combo. Pretty impressive. So he's on the board now. Got that Sheen. Got the tier. And he's kind of gotten over that initial early gold trough that the Ezreal has to commit to. He's up 300 gold. Very nicely done. And yeah, Roodood. So Los Grandes coming out swinging here early. The only downside is one of those kills did go over to Ackerman, but other than that, you've got yourself a little advantage here. 1,300 gold. I think the next place you're looking is probably Zest up in that top lane. Got to get him going.
Yeah, I mean, he's already 300 gold up. Has got a CS lead. He's already taken a couple of plates. The Yone, of course, really easy to take place. Crystalline Overgrowth. He's probably just ease forward, autos it, snaps back. Not really an opportunity for the Yone to be punished there. And I mean, if the one detriment that we're talking about is the fact that Ackerman got the kill over anything else, I think that's a pretty decent negative that Los will take. And I think that bot lane 2v2 or 1v1 kill, I should say, I kind of want to make that a little bit of our story for this series. This is IU, the relatively undisputed best marksman from Brazil this time round. And Brazilian AD carries such a story of the CBLOL that it's worth monitoring and seeing how Roodood does in this one, to make sure that either IU can hold on to his crown and keep this youngster at bay, or we'll see whether or not Roodood is taking a swing for that crown.
Yeah, the ENC rosters were announced, and IU, again, pretty undisputed. Yeah, he's going. If Roodood were to, kind of, put him in the bin, not saying that would be, that would like nullify the decision, but it would certainly make it very interesting, the next time the tournament comes around. Yeah. And like you said, 18 years old. Roodood, he literally turned 18 this year and had to play on a specialized Riot client because Brazil outlawed the Riot client if you are under 18 because it has gacha features on it. Just sweeping ban. If you are under 18, you cannot log into the Riot Games client. So to play in the CBLOL, while Roodood was 17 for the last couple of months, they had to make a specialized client for him. I cannot emphasize how kind of wild that is. But now he's up 1-0 on a much tougher to navigate champion in the early and the late game, to be fair, in the Ezreal. One of your more high skill cap marksmen. Roodood got onto the Grubs as well, did Los Grandes. And you've got 2 potent solo laners on this Los Grandes side.
Yeah, and I mean, the power, of course, from the Grubs, I think has slightly shifted. And typically I tend to favor a team taking the first dragon over taking Grubs. But the way Los are going at this rate, I think they're quite happy to find those Grubs. It's going to deny the snowballing of Furrier and their ability to take some of those turrets necessarily. One of the really easy things, or I say easy, but one of the powerful things about the Grubs is your ability to siege as 5 with, I think, Sivir Ari really good at being able to fish and poke for damage underneath those turrets as well. But Furrier will be happy they found the first dragon. They're going to be looking for the second one as well. That spawns up in about 3 minutes. It is an Infernal Drake spawning now, which means that they're flipping the chances of a possible Hextech Soul, which they'd be definitely hoping for. Maybe Ocean Soul comes through as well, or we end up with the dreaded Chemtech, which feels like the lesser of all Drakes relative to the Soul.
Yeah, certainly feels like the less desirable one. Ayu, though, he's onto that first item a little bit before Dudu, despite the item advantage. Obviously, investing into the tiers, a Tempered Fate. Not going to catch Feisty as JoJo goes fishing and comes up empty. The lead has kind of held steady, though. You're at about 1,500 gold, but that is going to change here. Flag and drag in. JoJo caught. But Tatu locks up 2 inside with him. Tuts in, gets a little bit of damage down, but now maybe goes a little bit too close. Dudu trying to get some damage down on the Tatu, but Tatu isolated with the rest of Los Grandes. Able to get a kill, able to get more CC down. It's a double kill for the best jungler in the league. Dudu trying to go forward, knew he was toast, gets something back off the back end, but JoJo instead going to walk away with the kill. Grand Starfall coming in. Tatu trying to turn this into a 4-for-0, but instead you'll have to settle for 3.
What a fight for Los. It completely turns the way that this game was going and puts them right back in the driver's seat. They needed these early leads. They needed an advantage to go their way. Finding those 3 kills down on the bot side does exactly that, and they took it at the best timer. They took it when they've got Malignants picked up for Tuts, when they've got Tatu ready with that Sundered Sky. Those first item breakpoints were hit, and they looked for it. Feisty, of course, the rise. He spends so much gold on boots, and then on a catalyst, and then on a tier. This guy's still not got any AP just yet, but Los not being thwarted by that, not being pushed away. They're actually continuing here and trying to take away some buffs.
And Ayu on the Essence Reaver as well, right? I mean, fighting around those breakpoints. Like you said, it was kind of a couple of cheap early breakpoints, right? Tuts with the Malignants. Yep. Just that little bit of extra magic damage. Tatu on the Sundered Sky, like you pointed out. And JoJo on the Knight's Vow as well on the Bard. And I know this has been kind of something that has been into the meta a little bit more, right? Is these kind of cheap tank items. And what that does for the meta. Bard's still going to be in the meta, but I didn't expect him to grab this one as a first item. Let's get a look at this fight, though, because it's Los Grandes that started out.
Yeah, and they look for the one-shot onto JoJo, but there's a little bit of miscoordination here. Curse immediately then ulties Tatu, who's a Pantheon and can buy a lot of time with the E. And if they go for the one-shot onto JoJo, then maybe the fight is a lot easier to play because JoJo ends up firing out, relatively weak level 6 Bard autos, but also some quite strong spells over the side as well. So I think if they go for the one-shot, it makes their life a lot easier. Cataclysm sections off the Pantheon as well, and that makes that whole fight look a lot different. But like I say, miscommunication there from Los starting to seep in, which isn't something that I typically tout them with. Their team fighting had been very solid up until now, and hopefully this is just a blip on the radar.
Now the gold back dead even. We're trying to get their second dragon of the game. We'll see what the soul comes up here. Los Grandes not in a fantastic position to contest, but they do have every single ultimate, whereas Unstoppable Onslaught is down for Gigo. Here comes the TP, double TPs, in fact. So it looks like we might throw hands over this. Ackerman goes in, followed up immediately. Tempered Fate gonna freeze everybody. The charm lands onto Dudu, and he is toast. Tuts takes down the enemy AD carry. Is this the swing that Furia need? Los Grandes lose another body. Ackerman will go down next. It's a bloodbath in the river. Furia, they have left those first 2 kills well in the rearview mirror, Roodood.
And let's not forget how Furia got here. It was with a smangling of red in the upper bracket. They looked clean in that series, and they looked clean in this first game as well. Like you say, 2 kills that they gave over to begin with are firmly in the past. Now 7 kills up, 2 Drakes in their back pocket, starting to take some dragons as well, starting to take some turret plates off the back of all of that. Furia are going to be looking good here. We take a look at this replay, and I want to keep your eyes on the Tempered Fate here, 4x4, and look at what it stops. Look at the impact it has. Fate Sealed comes through, and it stops the front line in their tracks. Tuts obviously on the bot side, perfect, able to get the assassination. But by the time that Zest comes out of that Tempered Fate, he immediately snaps back. He's just running around waiting for his team to get back out of stasis, and then he snaps back when they do. There's no support, no follow-up, and really for the Yone, he doesn't get anything done.
And that the explosive ultimates, right? Like you said, the sort of the snap engage, the one-shot potential, the amount of upfront damage that this Los Grandes composition can do is huge. And all of a sudden, like you said, a good Tempered Fate can nullify that. And the Tempered Fate, the Bard was a first pick, right? That was not seeing anything that was going to come in. It was just the Jarvan that was picked. And then Bard on the back end. Or no, I think it might have been Bard pick 1. Yeah. And then Ezreal Jarvan. Yeah. So it was completely blind. But getting a ton of value out of that Tempered Fate, like you said. And now, Tatu. Stop me if you've heard this one before, ladies and gents. Tatu has almost 100% KP, and he's got 4 kills, and his team are up
I've heard
2,000 gold. And,
sorry, I'm stopping you.
Yeah, okay. Yes, you have heard it before. So,
but you're exactly right, and it's a story that is going to be seemingly as old as this iteration of Furia. Tartu doing incredible things without putting any finer words on it. 2k gold lead now, 1,500 of that localized on this Furia jungler as he sniffs his way out towards this top side. Not quite going to be able to find the gank onto Feisty. Not at least uncontested, but this is a 3v2.
yeah.
If Furia can find it.
But now Zest joining. Curse roaming up. Everybody's roaming up to the top side, just looking for some sort of catch. The CC chain is absolutely nasty, and Feisty is not allowed to play the game. Another Fate Seal goes out, and it's stopped by the Tempered Fate again. Another kill goes out. Now Gigo gets in on the action. Ayu running for the hills, but that might be the only casualty that Furia suffer here. They're up 9-2.
Yeah, runs for the hills, gets away, doesn't even burn flash nor barrier as Dudu burned the flash to try to keep on top of the Civ. Now they're closing in.
Whee! Tatu is in. He gets the Aegis Assault down. The Conqueror stacked up. All the stacks of his passive. Curse has to EQ into his own red buff. Tuts is on a killing spree, playing this Ari to maximum effectiveness. It is all Furia in game 1.
And they're going to be happy about that one. 4x4. 4k gold up, leads across the board. And it is all singing, all dancing for the Furia side in this game number 1. We asked them, you need to get off to the races. You need to do something here in this first game. And it looks like, for all the world, they were going to struggle. Instead, the second we stop criticizing them is the second they start making things happen here. This 3v3 up on the top side, excellently executed. Double stun by Jojo, and they put the stun up, or the wall up for Tartu to actually get away. But it turns out there's just far too much damage in this Pantheon's kit. He's able to pretty much take out Feisty. Slams down Zest as well, and Gigo's the recipient of the double kill, but I'm pretty sure Tatu's the deserved one who gets it. Obviously, Dudu and Curse diving in a little bit too deep, trying to go for Ayu, who, again, no summoners burned, was more than happy to get out of that one. I think the barrier was wasted there by Dudu as he thinks he can try to outplay, but Yari always going to find that kill, always going to close that gap, and is almost at that proto belt as well. 10 stacks on a Dark Seal for Tuts.
And now, I mean, you've got the Ari as an actual damage threat. Being ahead this much. It's not just, oh, get into the... Oi, oi, oi. Signs that things aren't going so well.
See Pantheon immediately ulti away, like you say. Shows the state of this game for Los. Yeah, for Los here. So we'll see if obviously Furia can keep this ball rolling. Feels like for all the world that they can when Tartu is ahead. Typically one of our best junglers at looking to close things out. The problem obviously that Furia have had is that sometimes they can best themselves and they can run themselves into walls that then gives teams ways back into the game. Importantly, Los in this one do have the champions that will kind of be able to punish you on those mistakes. We need to see a clean close from Furia here and a solid start to this series, a game number 1 that gets wrapped up nice and easily.
Yeah, because you've got your kind of early and mid game, right? It was as you identified in the draft, Roodood, especially this mid jungle combo. Congratulations, you got them accelerated. You are up 6,000 gold at 20 minutes. By any stretch, by any measure, that is a very good early game. As you navigate this mid game, this is where you kind of hand the baton off, right? Or at least in theory. Ayu 0-1-8. He's been everywhere, just the one death. And I think it was just that solo kill. Since then, Ayu has played a perfect game. He's up a lot of gold, largely off of obviously just the team play. But Tatu going to start up Dragon number 3 here. Will be the Ocean Soul that will be to play for in at minimum 10 minutes. I should say 5 minutes, in fact. But this is where you sort of hand off the ball to Ayu. Let's see how Furia navigate these team fights because, look, this Los Grandes composition, it scales really, really well. You've got 2 just really, really strong champ, at 3 even, that can, if you hit your Qs, can just crit damage. But while the engage and the initial wombo combo is easier to execute, Duda still got to hit his abilities. But if there's one guy I trust to do that, it is that 18-year-old marksman opposite Ayu, who, I mean, it feels like just yesterday we were talking about Ayu in the exact same way we're talking about Dudu.
One of these days we might well end up talking about a different Brazilian marksman rising through the ranks, looking at some of our CD prospects and hopefuls for that one. But we still need to see Dudu reach those high highs, obviously. In split number 1, Los were a team that came out of the regular season, and we thought, how has this sort of composition of relatively unknown players pulled out a pretty much flawless split. We were quite happy in the CBLOL Cup to go, well, yeah, they lost to Pain. That was just for fun. You know, they enjoyed that one. And then immediately bombed out of playoffs. But this time round, they've done the complete opposite. They've gone and run that lower bracket. They've had an absolutely excellent time while doing it. And now we need to start looking at what is next for them. What comes after a series like this?
Fantastically done by Tatu. Does he pay for it with his life? Be able to buy some time with the Aegis Assault. Now the Cataclysm comes in. Tuts and JoJo are locked in. Tuts going to take the magical journey out. I'm surprised I didn't just clip just the wall. But either way, Zest looking for something on the back end. And that was very uncoordinated. Double kill for IU.
Yeah, and JoJo, once again here, Tempered Fate just stops everything dead in its tracks. I think this is a very early Baron that they're going for. And I mean, with Sivir, 2.5 items, Ari's there. They've got full 5 members here looking to do it. So they fancy their chances here. Curse doesn't even have Smite actually available for this. And Furia will find a Baron here super early on. Look at the timer as well, 4x4. 3 minutes on that next dragon. Baron lasts for 3 minutes. For Furia here, pushing mid, pushing bot. Default back to your free Ocean Soul.
Yeah, the League of Legends is not a solved game, but things like this, the script is pretty clear. Like you said, Roodood, you know exactly where you should go. You know exactly the timings that you should play on. Let's get another look here. They almost got the pick onto Tatu, but thanks to some heroics by JoJo, like you said, not able to dish out the requisite damage.
And once again, Tatu here using his shield really well, just blocks all of the damage from one specific side. The second Zest goes in, has to immediately snap back, and guess who's waiting? You know, the Furia bot lane, as well as the rest of the team, to be completely honest here. The Yone not yet had the impact that we were hoping for. Zest, importantly, not yet had the impact we were hoping for. This player coming out and, you know, really dumpstering the majority of our top lane competition, but Gigo thus far stood stalwart and has a 2.2k gold lead now.
Gigo also with a very clutch knock up in that fight. Tatu, as soon as Zest dashed in with the Soul Unbound, Tatu just bonked him, stunned him, forced him into a very awkward, desperate ult. It wasn't just that Tempered Fate. Everybody else just playing very intelligently around the threats. As Tuts goes fishing with a charm, not going to find it. But Roodood there, paying their attention here up on the top side, trying to get something done here. Gigo, meanwhile, going for what could be a one-way trip, but he's got a very big health bar. Gets 2 with the Tempered Fate, but going to get hit by the True Shot Barrage. Now Tatu and JoJo. Going to take the Tempered Fate back. Tatu, IU, JoJo, Gigo, Doo. Forgive me.
Just let you indulge there in your 2-syllable fantasy. That was quite nice. But again, I mean, I hate to harp on what has been a very consistent thread through this game, but it's JoJo keeping his teammates alive there. I think Gigo a little bit overzealous, maybe. He probably doesn't die there, but definitely goes quite deep. All JoJo does, Tempered Fate's 2 people. It means that if you're doing DPS, you have to stop to get out of the Tempered Fate. If you aren't doing DPS, you get stopped to do, or you stop doing DPS if you were, because you get golden, and then, well, guess what? Sion conjures portal away. So a really, really solid game from JoJo here, making that Bard B1 really, really sing. Now IU has fully carried the ball. You mentioned that, you know, about 5-10 minutes ago, they were sort of sharing it. At this point, 3 item Civ and 90% crit chance. He is living life good with that Infinity Edge locked and loaded. 10 seconds on an Ocean Soul here for Fury, and I think for Los, the best case scenario is that Curse sneaks his way in, gives his life for the cause, and denies that soul.
Wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of the recipe here. Yep, Tatu gonna do away with some of that vision. Haven't actually aggroed the dragon yet, just as I say that. Tatu pokes it with a spear. Zest looking for a slightly more creative way in. Of course, if they get to Zest before he gets in, that's kind of been the MO for Furia. They've really neutralized Zest kind of actively. And now he gets caught out in a very rough spot. Tuts is my hunter to zero him here. Zest has to flash away. Still got his ultimate, but looking to use it offensively still. Hanging on to some sort of vestige of a maybe for this fight for Los Grandes. But now they are scattered. The Demacian standard goes in. He flags, but will he drag? Find out tomorrow on Dragon Ball Z. No, he will not.
He will give up the Ocean Soul then, and Furia, with all of the tools to take game number 1, save for those 2 kills early. a near flawless game by them. Have
Yeah.
not dropped a single kill since, have not put a foot wrong. Showing why they're the team that are waiting in the upper finals here, 4x4, with a relatively clean run through the upper bracket, have found themselves now up against Los, who have generated a lot of momentum to get here.
Now looking for the kill shot. Charm lands onto Ackerman. It's going to take a lot of damage to get through an ulted up Alistar. Tatu maybe bit off a little bit more than he could chew, but able to jump out of the way of a true shot barrage. But even with 4 members, they might be able to do it. Zest goes in, gets finally a good ultimate down, but not enough damage to follow up. Simply not enough. Bouncing boomerang blade gets another one for Ayu. And now with the Tempered Fate, they decide, you know what, maybe we can do this. In with the Grand Starfall. A shutdown does come in for Feisty, but that is all that they are going to get.
No Baron needed here, 4x4. They've got a mid-wave, and they've got game 1 in their sights. That was lethal, that was clinical, and that was brutal by Furia to take game number 1. A massive fight down on the bot side, and Tartu limping away from that one with just slivers of HP. Jojo, the only one to give his life for this cause, my MVP for game number 1. He ends the game 1-1-15.
And that is just gorgeous bard play right there. That is the kind of scoreline you want to see for your support. 15 out of 17 KP. And you see that just across the entire map, right? I mean, the lowest KP is 10 for Gigo. Everybody else at double-digit KP. This is just how Furia do things. They get rolling. Everyone hops in the snowball, and they go forward. Yeah, like you said, Roodood, aside from those first couple kills, it really was a perfect game by them. They left absolutely nothing up to chance. They were suffocating from kind of the 10th minute on. Absolutely suffocating.
And that's what you want to see from somebody who we're looking at as an MSI representative here, with what is objectively a tricky tournament coming up for Brazil. I'm not going to mince our words here. It's not going to be easy for us in any capacity.
No.
But if, of course, we start seeing some solid performances like this from Furia, and this is a consistency that they happen to have, then hey, absolutely, am I here for Furia to smandangle Los in a finals and then start looking like the looking like a team that can quite easily or not, but look like a team that can easily win in domestics. See what that looks like in international.
Yep, but to not get too ahead of ourselves, the Los Guardians still do have a couple games to go here, but they dropped some pretty big picks were taken off the Fearless board in that game on both sides. The champion pool is going to look very, very different. I think we're fully getting into the A tier here. A lot of S tier picks for both these compositions were already taken out as far as Fearless is concerned. So I'm very interested to see what Los Grandes punch back with. I imagine they will give them, I imagine they're going to give themselves first pick, but I think they've got a lot of faith in these solo laners. So let's see what they, how they want to attack the next draft strategy. Los Grandes, not a lot to write home about in that one. It's just go next. You never really got the ball going. You never got anything off the ground. Jojo was incredibly frustrating to play into. Sing this man's praises enough. He was awesome on the Bard. So we're going to take it to a quick break. When we do come back, it'll be game 2, Los Grandes versus Furia, in a second. Welcome back, everybody. Game 1 in the books. It was a dominant performance by Furia. Los Grandes, they've got to answer back in a big way. Otherwise, Rooted, we could be looking at a very, very fast series here. Furia are firing on all cylinders.
They are indeed. We've got draft number 2 ready to go. Los took first pick. Furia take blue side. And yeah, if Furia don't sort, or rather don't change anything, 3-0 bish bash bosh. Welcome and crown your CBLOL 2026 Split 1 champion. However, of course, Los, they've struggled through series before. They had to battle all the way through the lower bracket. And the fact that they've made it here shows their tenacity and shows that in a first round, in a best of 5, losing one game isn't going to thwart them too much.
First pick Millia for Los Grandes, and Furia just with a pre-prepared, this is what we're going to do, pretty much unless you pick one of these champions first pick, and got themselves a lethal bot lane duo in the Caitlyn Karma.
Well, the Lucian Milio here, I don't know if that's a good enough answer, if I'm being completely honest. But it's
I would agree with you.
Yeah, it's the one that they've opted for. So we will find out. Cassiopeia locked in for Feisty. This has been a pick that he's taken pretty much whenever he's had the opportunity to get his hands on it. So really good to see that he's going to get a showing now, get a chance to play what is probably just objectively the best mid laner on the patch with Deathfire Touch. So we'll see if he can put the team on his back. Obviously, game number 1 had an option or had a game on the rise, but didn't really get rolling. Don't know that we actually finished 2 complete items, but the rise was there.
I kind of stopped looking at his inventory after a while.
Yeah, exactly.
And now Tatu on another run at you champion, and it will be the Trundle this time around, yeah, Roodood. I mean, I mean, the super mega fire kick, great for super ultra mega. I don't know. It's that and the Jinx rocket. I'll
It's just
look that up.
Ankara Messi, and that's it.
Yeah, that does get you some value here against the Trundle. But yeah, with Feisty on this Casio now, I mean, it feels to me like the scripted writing so far is all right. Dudu and Ackerman's got to hold their own and get it to the late game where Feisty can start to pop off a little bit here, and that didn't go too hot for Los Grandes. And like you said, into just the range disadvantage you're going to have in this bottom lane. That is a tall hill to climb.
It is. Now, obviously, Emilio W will offset a certain amount of that, but then if the Caitlyn traps you, nets you, gets you caught up in a bunch of headshots, I don't know that it does quite enough anyway. The Trundle here locked in, I do quite like, sort of protects from any tanks coming through that might end up getting locked in for Curse. Like that Skarner, for example, I feel like is the big one that I've seen Curse default to and it have some real success. That's now no longer an option. And for me, definitely limits what Los can take in that jungle. Might end up just being an AD bruise. I think your Wukongs is probably what's the best left up available, but even then, not going to be a easy time of things versus a Trundle.
No, not the easiest. Now with these bans coming in, Orianna back on the ban table, and the Trundle and the Rumble, or excuse me, the Aatrox and the Rumble banned away. So what does that tell you about the pick here in the top side for Furia?
Cassante.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
It tells me Cassante might get locked in for Gigo here. He blind picked Sion last game. It does then give Tuts the counter pick in the mid lane, but
okay.
I don't know. They've gone for Galio here. They see the Casio, so this is fine, and they're always going to give counter pick to Gigo on that top side. So I guess it's just mainly protecting for if the comp's good, we'll take Cassante.
Yeah, let's see. Right, they're just giving themselves maximum flexibility. Felt like the Galio was a little more predetermined, right? But collecting as much data as possible, and seeing if you still want to go to that Cassante. Zest again going to get the carry pants here, Roodood, and Curse going to be on the Rek'Sai.
Well, we'll see here. This is well, yes, it is going to be Zest with the carry pants, but whether or not he actually does any carrying, we will have to wait and see.
Completely separate conversation. Completely separate
the hope
conversation.
is that he will. And you know, if that happens to be the case, then amazing. If not, of course, then that's a slight problem. I do think that Furia here lacking a little bit of damage overall. Yeah. This is a very IU composition, and they've doubled down on that. They've not really gone, no, we need to carry on that top side. They've gone, well, IU will do all the work, and they're hoping that that's going to be the case here. So, you know, if that happens, amazing. If it doesn't, though, that could then be a pretty big problem, to be completely honest with you. Because if IU gets killed, once again, it's the same position as last game. If he gets killed, that's bad.
But and this feels even more kind of, I mean, I'll say worrying, but, you know, to say I'm worried about Furia, it's just simply not true. Because in your mid lane, you don't have something like the Ahri, which can at least, you know, pretend to be a carry, right? At worst. But this time around, it is just a Galio. Now, Tatu is still on the Trundle. He's not going to get a ton of value with that ultimate. There is no tank on the other side. I guess you're just ulting the Rek'Sai. You're going to have the most kind of resistances, I guess. But it's still Tatu on something like the Trundle, which I trust him on kind of implicitly. And I trust Gigo, even though, you know, Cassante isn't what he used to be. He can still assassinate. He can still get into good positions. And again, I trust the players, the composition. You're right. Does raise some red flags here. But I trust the players enough. But Los Grandes, they have a more explosive composition. And again, it's just going to come down to that early game. And it went disastrously in game one. But I think we're going to see a similar sort of game flow in terms of goals for both these compositions.
I would certainly hope so. Right? If Furia can get that ball rolling, Caitlyn Karma is your win condition this time round. And that's, you know, if your Caitlyn Karma don't snowball, that's a problem. If the Lucian Milio do well, then of course that's a nice success story for Los and probably puts them into an even game number 2. Obviously, game 1, pretty disastrous for them. Had a sort of strong showing in the first 10 minutes and then faltered completely.
And then a bit of absolutely nothing. Yeah, unfortunately. So, got a chance to right the ship here. Can they wipe game 1 out of their memories? Just moving on up to game number 2. In this bottom lane, yeah, I mean, this is kind of, I think, where the troubles could really, really start. Like you said, the W healing from Milio is going to negate some of the poke that the abuse that inevitably you will take. But, and even looking ahead to like, okay, well, if Tatu comes down there, right? Well, no, right? You can, if you save your Ultra Mega Fire Kick, right? Let's pursue A, right? You've got ways of working around that. So it's still a tough hill to climb for Roodood and Ackerman, but I see the vision.
Yeah, and I think that obviously Losa are going to need to be the ones with maybe a little bit more vision than anything else here. If they can't do successfully what they did in game number 1, which was ultimately Snowball, they had a nice advantage coming out of that early game, but they didn't really get too much else from it. That then is going to become a pretty big issue for them now as we get the little tri-lane split. Feisty definitely starting off nicely here.
Yeah, certainly doing all right. Range versus melee matchup. Obviously not the most range for Feisty, but still a range versus melee matchup. Like you said, that Deathfire touch, Roodood, it really has just rocketed Cassiopeia up to the top of the mid lane tier list. This combination, I think people have kind of figured out just how potent it can be. So, yeah, abuse it while you can. I don't think this version of Cassiopeia is making it to MSI.
No, I would be very surprised if it did. And even more so surprised if it got here without any Deathfire touch changes or, like you say, any changes in general, really, just going to be needed before that big international tournament. Now, as we take a look at our bot side, the Caitlyn Karma doing what Caitlyn Karma do. Dudu trying to get some HP off of Jojo there down on the bot side, but is losing out on CS, lost out now on both of his health potions. So definitely a struggle, and Tutsi might need to go a little bit all in. I do like the Galio as a pick into the Cassiopeia, because if she gets taunted, she can't E. Obviously, the large proponent of Cassiopeia's damage. But if you don't connect on that taunt, or if you get grounded, that's then a pretty big problem, as we can see Feisty here having a pretty decent time of things. Tut's already forced to recall and teleport in and finds himself very low on that HP bar.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the game within the game that I think is worth watching as this early game progresses, is that Feisty, he really is having dominion over it. Like, it's not just the 9 CS, right? It's the fact that, like you said, you're forced to come back with a refillable pot. You're forced to TP already. So Feisty having that first advantage. And Zest, not doing too shabby in his own right. Again, abusing a range versus melee matchup. But these two guys, Gigo and Tuts, they have been around the block. Tuts for 6 years, Gigo for 5. They've been doing this for a long, long time.
And Tuts was the rookie young gun mid laner when he started, right? I remember Tuts was the new kid on the block, and we were commenting on his age now, with Tartu sort of being shepherded through the jungle on his side up against Dudu as an opponent here. It's a position that he in particular is going to be familiar with.
Tuts, famously COVID Cup champion in 2020 Split 1. Did not get to go to MSI, but finally got there in 2025 and is on his way to doing that here in 2026. Should his team see this series out up 1-0 again? If you missed it, it was an absolute dumpstering. I mean, you really didn't miss much in terms of competitive League of Legends, but if you are a fan of watching Furia be peak Furia, yeah, scrub back and watch that game, because it was a treat from that perspective.
Yeah, if he gets hit by that Q, he probably has to burn flash, and that's probably not what he wants to do, if I'm being completely honest with you. So good that he was able to escape there and just like I say, nimbly dodge away from the damage.
In the bottom lane, it has been advantage IU, just kind of checking in on that. This has gone more or less the way we expect it to. Now looking for a good spot to recall potentially, but Dudu and Ackerman not making it easy for them to give them their due as well.
And again, we talked a lot about in the early game, or in the last game rather, the necessity for Furia to break away early. I do think that is the case once again. And the reason, in fairness, that they were actually able to get that advantage, and the fact that they found a way back into this one, was based off of a missed approach by Los. Hold on.
Here you go. Does go all out here. Flashes somewhere onto Zest, but if he can get one more auto, maybe he's got a chance. Now Curse shows up, and man, not a moment too soon. We have seen nothing of these two junglers just yet, but they might have just secured the first blood over to Los Grandes. Gigo's certainly going to try to make it interesting, but man, a fortuitous appearance in the top lane for Los Grandes.
Yeah, I think that's putting it gently, putting it lightly, I would say, more than anything. The fact that he's able to I'd say, get that 2 for 1 or 1 for 1, 1 for nothing rather. Hold on, bot lane, the scrapping, nothing happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that that is a one fight for Los, once again, similar situation to we saw from them in the first game, where they're finding these small advantages, finding these little dribs and drabs of a lead. We'll see if they can hold on to this one a little bit more. So they were the ones that kind of threw it away in the first game. So I'm going to look to hopefully find it once again, and this time keep a hold of it.
You've got your advantage, and this time, Roodood. I mean, it's not, oh, you got to kill over to Ackerman. No. This is like exactly where you want your kill to be going. Now, it's what can you do with it? You're still going into a Cassante. He's still going to itemize specifically for you in this early game. Eventually, you got to get some MR going if the game keeps going, and you've got to deal with that Cassio as well, because she will rip through your health. Once you get that Leandries going, once you get those later game scaling items with a couple of abilities, she will be able to chew through you if you are the Cassante. Get another look at this, because Gigo played this out kind of beautifully.
Yeah, about as well as you can hope for, to be honest. He misses one few that Zest flashes, but yeah, this is the top laner from Los, who's had an incredible split and incredible playoffs. And Gigo, I think, a player whose identity has definitely changed through this year and through the splits as well. But he's sort of rounding himself out now into what has objectively just been this new Furia top laner. And okay, I don't need to be the carry. My team will do that for me, and he's reaping the rewards of that.
He absolutely is. Yeah, he's accepted this role, and it's allowed Furia to become this buzzsaw of a team that we have seen through the playoffs up to this point, even including into this series. As now Feisty grabs himself the Swifties. Cassiopeia can wear shoes now, in case anybody missed that. But Tuts grabbing his first couple kind of item components here into this matchup. Get a look at something that went on in the bottom lane. It was a trade back and forth. Man, Ackerman almost got the business end of that Caitlyn damage, but traded back pretty nicely. Now in the mid lane, in the picture-in-picture, Feisty might have the solo bolo here on a Tuts, and there's that flash burn you were alluding to, Roodood.
Yeah, good flash there. Gets away from the Noxious Blast. Of course, Cassiopeia's damage amplified on her Twin Fangs if that Noxious Blast connects. So, and the extra movement speed that comes from it as well for the Cassio means that would have been a very touch-and-go situation for Tuts had it have landed. Flashes keeps himself safe, but Furia doing a really good job so far at taking these neutral objectives early on. They found the first dragon. They've moved their bot lane just temporarily up to the top side to enable them to take down yet another set of objectives in those Void Grubs. It gives Zest a little bit of a problem as well, as it looks like I do like the build path here for the Jace moving very quickly towards a Serpent's Fang here. But even still, finds himself with a decent advantage, but one that he's going to have to stop generating for the time being.
I guess it will be a Serpent's Fang. That's a good call out. Yeah. Into this team, you're going to get a ton of value out of that. Curse having a flash over the pillar. Feels like the first real win that Furia have gotten. I mean, getting a flash out of a Rek'Sai. It's far from the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but it is something here as the top side leaps and bounds ahead of their counterparts. But Tut's not going quietly into that good night either. Want to play a little bit more aggressively, a little bit closer to his tower. You see the turret plating. I mean, it's two different stories on both sides of the map. To be fair, IU's gotten 300 gold just off turret plates.
And I think that's important that the Caitlyn can actually find that little bit of an advantage in that top side. Was that 3 plates that Caitlyn's just taken there? Just because it's a 2 versus 1.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe 2 on the top side, 1 on the bottom, but something like that.
Yeah, really able to leverage this Caitlyn's range and put a bit of a dent in that necessity to find an early game lead. And they'll be happy to sacrifice a small amount of role quest completion here to enable what should be a snowballing Caitlyn early on. And this is, again, another situation that Los will be all too familiar with here. They've got an overall gold lead as there's no net for IU.
Dudu went forward, but gets caught in the snare. Going to eat a little bit of damage, but most of it will be absorbed by his shield. Look for a potential all in there. Tatu going to find Curse, and what else going to find Curse is a stealth ward.
That's Joe.
So the gank is called off.
There down on the bot side as well. He saw that net was down and thought, yeah, this is a kill angle. Turns out with just barrier used, actually, Caitlyn was more than fine to just sort of walk it out of that situation. So maybe a bit of overzealousness here for Dudu.
Oh, Yeah, maybe a little bit. He sees that Tatsu's coming in. He says, I got to take someone down with me, and he will not be successful in doing so. IU on the board with a much-needed kill.
Summon a heal. Flash still available there for IU as well. Jojo keeping his marksman alive. IU doing a really good job at just playing with all of the resources available. And Dudu, I think, getting a little bit too antsy here on the Lucian early on. That sort of necessity for a Lucian to get fed early. Equally present for me here. Obviously, they've got the fallback that the Cassiopeia will be able to 1v9 later on with enough of a front line, but I say that, I'm looking at the front line that the Cassio has. It's pretty sparse, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it is. It is cursed with a Titanic Hydra smile. It's not amazing. Yeah, so it's just gonna have to kind of overwhelm you with damage, right? And you just like you said, get those key abilities down, get that petrifying gaze down. Hang on a second, Gigo going all out, gonna take Zest away from the safety of his own tower, and the solo bolo comes right back in favor of the Furia top laner.
I love that IU's gone for the trap on the Cassante ulti there, as though that was a reliable setup. But you know, it's good to see that Furia are just moving their pieces around the map so nicely. You know, they are, yes, sacrificing a little bit of their role quest, but I do think that this is so very worth it. Like, let's look at the gold that IU's able to get here. He's going to get first turret maybe picked up here. I think he's got just enough to tank this and take it. Plus all of the plates that go with it, plus all of the waves that go with it as well. That gold lead now for IU based on 2 swaps, 1,600 gold. He got pretty much all of the top lane plates. And now can go back down to that bot side and probably do the same thing.
Yeah, this all of a sudden a bit of a Thanos start here for IU, up 1.6k gold at 12 minutes. This is a dream, and I think, and you can't ignore what you were alluding to a little bit earlier, Roodood, is that some of it has come at the direct expense of the Lucian, who also needs that early gold to get going. IU is up 3/4 of an item on his counterpart. This is brutal.
Yeah, this is a strategy that is really fun to play as IU. The rest of Furia kind of have to sit back and go, well, we're playing for our marksman this game, but with that being said, they're playing for their marksman really well. You know, this is
and he's kind of balling.
Yeah, and this is the strategy that I used to call platelin, where you just get plates everywhere. Where you just walk around, you take all of the turrets. It was more prevalent back in seasons 15, where there weren't turret plates post 14 minutes. Obviously now you can play platelin forever, but the goal on Caitlyn used to be get as many turret plates as possible before they wear off. And now, obviously, we're going to see probably the same thing happen as Dice are going to look to try and run down the Galio top side. Looks like it.
We'll certainly try. With Zest and Curse in tow, Gigo doesn't have his ultimate, but he does have Flash.
Yeah, he does. A little bit of missed synergy there as well. Zest uses the hammer to knock away as Curse is looking for the knock-up from the W, but I don't think that the Sante particularly dies there if they have Flash. It's going to mean that there's some time alone on the turret for Zest, who still just about hangs on to a gold lead here. But I mean, we're talking about 250 versus 1,400 where IU is. And he's got a lot of gold in the bank as well. He's feeling very confident, very happy with how much money he's sitting on right now. Probably going to go back, pick up another BF sword, and continues to walk down Dudu here.
Yeah, it's that kind of early game so far, man. And again, with the range advantage, I mean, you know, like you said, the Cozy Campfire gives you some range. It allows you to withstand some of that poke with the healing that you get. But Dudu's windows to get those trades, and you saw them in the early game, right? Dudu, when he found those little windows, he was aggressive. He was playing the Lucian like you should. Get in, pop a couple abilities, weave your autos in, get that maximum damage down, and pop right back out. These windows are getting a lot smaller and a lot more punishing.
We'll see whether or not he can find one at all. Serpent's Fang now finished for Zest, obviously up against the Karma. Caitlyn with Barrier, the Galio, the Trundle, not really going to get too much detriment from it, but Cassante as well. Lots of shields in his kit to keep himself safe. Serpent's going to feel really nice to be picked up, but not necessarily the best item for looking to take these 1 versus 1s for Zest, so we'll see. That 2-item spike, 3-item spike for the Jace probably going to be that little bit more important. And the same thing to be said for the Cassio as well. For Los, it's a waiting game. It's a sit back, wait, and sure that we've got maybe just a little bit of time here, but time is exactly what Furia are not going to give to them with this Caitlyn, who's doing such a good job at really pushing the advantage.
Yeah, she's taking those plates and, like you said, making things happen on the map with them. And If not making things happen on the map, then extending her advantage and bullying with that. Before the infamous mid game trough kicks in, where you're not going to get quite as much value relative to your position. But so far, so very, very good for Furia. Up 2,000 gold now. But Roodood, Los Grandes, not out of this in the slightest. And Zest, like you said, you're that second item, once that Mana Moon comes in, I hope that's when you're going to see Zest start to come to the forefront. They start playing around him in some of these fights, right? If Feisty can get that second item as well, right? With these two tier items come in at the same time, all of a sudden, that is a massive outsized spike for Los Grandes. But that's not what they're going to fight on here, should they choose to do so. Rift Herald going to be grabbed by Tatu. Do they want to go back in? Potentially here. Tuts looking for a way in. Now Curse seems to have isolated Tuts. Let's see if they can get enough damage down. Pillar up, flash away. Furia walk away.
All right, well, they deny the eye here. Feisty going to run anchor, and they are going to need to make sure that Tatu just doesn't walk in and snipe this way. He's going to flash on top of it. Yep. That was... I don't know if my audio came across first, but that was written in the stars that Tatu was flashing on that. Are you in trouble, though? This would be big kill.
This would be huge, but the barrier comes in, and the Galio ultimate as well. Now the taunt comes in. Is that enough damage? Not maybe with just Tuts, but with Gigo coming in, he goes all out, gets onto Doodoo with the barrier. He's able to keep himself alive, able to dash away from trouble. Doodoo putting on the fancy feet, but Gigo's going to meet him on the other side. They're on the wrong side of the train tracks. On the other side, Jojo going to eat the dirt as well, so it's a 1-for-1. Very chaotic.
I mean, that's a massive play, though, here for Los. The fact that they're able to take down Ayu, the sole participant really in this game, it shows that, hey, we've got a way to get through you, and they did it through the Galio ulti as well. I think that Dudu missed out on maybe one auto timing, which would have made that kill look a little bit cleaner, but Curse able to find the job and get it done here. Dudu goes forward here, cancels that auto, which might have made it a little bit faster, but ends up finding the kill all the same. And I like this from Dudu afterwards. He recognizes, actually, well, your boy's just dead, so I'm going to do as much damage as possible, start walking my way out. And what actually happens is Jojo walks up here, whilst his team walk down, he gets caught out, and it means that that's a 2-for-1 trade overall. The bot lane for Furia that had worked so well together to get this lead, both of them fall down.
Curse going to grab himself a dragon. Third one of the game. It will be that Mountain Soul to play for in 10+ minutes. First brick does go over to Furia, though. They answer on the top side as well. Furia moving around the map very, very well at their best. They are, I described them in game one as a suffocating team to play against. Even with that little bit of a lead, that is their recipe for success. The best version of Furia. This is kind of what it looks like here. See what else they can do here. Like you said, that lead and that momentum, that snowball, halted just a little bit. Lead down to triple digits for Ayu, crucially, in the bottom lane. That was the one thing that was going incredibly well for you. But then on the other side, we'll see what they can do in response. I mean, can Zest get going? That's still where I'm looking, Roodood, to get that value out of your early build and your raw strength early on. But again, it's Zest and those couple of tier item spikes that I'm looking for as well.
Yeah, I mean, the bitter pill to swallow here for Furia fans maybe is that your platelin falls behind, you have no composition. And it's on Ayu now to sort of dictate to his team how he wants the game to be played, because he's the one who's going to be able to carry it. Typically, marksman, not always not typically the shot callers. We've seen veteran presences come into our team and try to make that happen, but I don't really think that Ayu's that guy in this composition of players, but he needs to be as this Caitlyn, right? He's got 3 tanks in his front line. He's got a Karma backing him up. He needs to do that.
Culling going to find Tatu a little bit here, but not a ton. Miasma down, preventing any sort of cheekier engage or anything else from any of these members. Tuts on the other side of the map. Ooh, Gigo just barely gets that off. Yeah. No, and that kind of brings up this, the interesting discussion, right? You see pro players talk about this all the time, right? There's that difference of, okay, well, I'm not the shot caller, but when do I, call my own shot? It's not that necessarily that I'm dictating kind of the strategy even all the time necessarily, but it's just maybe telling the shot caller, hey, we're playing around me. And then it's Tatu's job to be like, okay, guys, we got to reorient all this around Ayu. And hopefully they're kind of preemptively seeing that, because I mean, shoot, if I can tell you that sitting here in a caster desk being, not that good at the game, we should be able to figure that out. From draft, we should be able to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, contrary to my beliefs, 4x4 not challenger on the NA ladder, unfortunately.
No. Lord, no.
Much to my surprise here. But either way,
Yeah.
IU now goes back to base, picks up his Infinity Edge, now back in a position of relative power on this Caitlyn. Going to wait for that RFC to come through before we're really, really happy with his state in the game. You know, that extra little bit of range, the headshots coming through can feel very overwhelming to try to play against. But importantly as well, for Furia is the fact that those Drakes did not continue stacking. They lost out on the last 2 Drakes. We've got 2 minutes until the next one, and I think it's crucially important that they do find it. I think that Roodood, this game, it's your time to sit back and go, hey guys, this game is not about me. Feisty, Zest, you're the ones who I'm looking to try and step up, to try and be the carry, and to take us from a struggled game 1 and a hard start to a game 2, back to a bounce back win.
Yeah, he's got to have that opposite conversation. Doodoo's window has closed. Thank you for your service. You haven't fallen too far behind. Congratulations.
Do what you can.
Yep, exactly. Just be a mosquito. Be a pest. Let's see. Now what he's able to do. Yeah, this gold lead has not only stalled out, but completely come crashing back down to earth. And this is what we were hoping to see from these two teams, a much more competitive series. But this one, I mean, the pace of this game has slowed down to a complete halt, especially compared to what we saw in game 1. Yeah. Vandal Pipes now picked up here by Tatu.
Oh, okay. So cheap second item here for the jungler. And of course, just trying to, I guess, aid IU here. Wouldn't be surprised if we got to see, you know, that Knight's Vow come through. And
I was going to say,
I think that's IU. I think that's what JoJo's actually working towards here with the Chain Vesta Kindle Gem as well. Pillar up, pillar ready. Going to just bop Roodood here, and he's going to go forward afterwards.
He will go forward, take only a little bit out of IU's HP. Tatu taking low as well. Shock Blast finds IU. Tuts now going in. Flash Taunt gets 1. Gets the Winds of War down as well. Gigo into the back line with the all out. Gets decent damage down. Subjugate comes out as well. Now the ult back onto Gigo. Low separated. Can they keep IU safe? He's going to reposition himself with a 90 caliber net. Not getting enough range to really deal the kind of damage that he wants to do. Zest still ripping the Shock Blast. After all that, just some low HP bars. That's all we've got to write home about with the Dragon up in 10 seconds. Do Furia have a re-engage in them?
Yeah, that's the important part here. The neutral objective has now spawned. I'm sending TPs back to base. I'm sending my top laner back to base. He's going to TP back out onto the map. Roodood using that Milio actually really well to be able to sustain himself. No mid lane priority particularly here, as both of these teams recognize the value of this Dragon. It's on as even, battle lines drawn, and just a out-and-out scrap here. But without really any ultimates. We've still got all that. We've still got the ulti for IU. On the flip side of things, Void Assault's still there, but how do you really start a fight as Los?
Flash Miasma, maybe. Or Zest gets caught by a pillar, maybe. You can see Curse lurking in the back of the pit, looking for a big Void Rush in. Scuttle Crab, the only scalp that has been secured by either of these teams. Again, Zest has been sitting on that Serpent's Fang for the entire game. You saw the amount of shielding that Furia can get down. Curse got out of the pit, looking for a way into it now. Another calling comes out. That is on a very low cooldown for Roodood. Flashing away from the death of Curse. Zest taken low, but Tuts able to take, he's going to take some return fire as well. Gigo taken low. Does have the all out. There he goes. Gets it onto Roodood. Fast-frying gaze. Lands onto the Cassante. That could be huge. Gets down. Zest taken away by Tatu. IU still free firing, but can he get the requisite damage down? Remember, it's just him as far as hard damage for his team. Tatu gets the pillar down. Here. He's got to back away now. Now Furia are the ones separated, and Feisty's got full HP. If he can get close enough, they could seal this fight. IU took get low. That's a lot of shielding. Tatu looking for a way back. The pillar up potentially gets damage onto Curse, but it's coming back around onto him. Roodood gets the kill onto Tuts. And after all that, Los Grandes play the fight patiently. You're seeing the flaws of just having one damage source for Furia. They weren't able to crack Los Grandes.
And how can they get out here? They've got to run the long way round. Feisty going to find IU on the backside of things. JoJo's going to fall afterwards, and Los here, they'll secure themselves Soul Point.
Los Grandes with the ace. They punch back in a big, big way. They had Furia's number that entire fight, Roodood.
And again, it's about Feisty here. They've forgotten the Dragon. They haven't forgotten it. They've foregone it here. They've accepted that this is not something that they are interested in. They want the Baron. They want to start taking this game to task and really putting Furia on the back bench here. Replay of this coming down. You need to keep your eyes on Feisty, one of my most improved players through the playoffs here, as he's just left unchecked throughout this entire exchange. it's Giga who tries to get on top of the Lucian, but I
Yeah.
mean, we've already called this here 4x4. Lucian ain't your carry. And if you're Los, you're very happy. I'm accepting this. I'm quite happy with the fact that Cassiopeia gets to free hit. My Lucian's the one sort of skirting around, trying to find as much damage as possible and maybe getting focused. But I think Curse does a very good job here at actually baiting Tartu in. He ends up falling to one of those Prey Seekers as well. Obviously, the chase down very easy. Los with Baron here, not too bothered about a second dragon that Furia might claim for themselves.
Nope. They understand the assignment. They realize they've got a window here to really push this game out of control. This could get really, really hairy for Furia. And I mean, Roodood, is it oversimplifying things to keep coming back to the fact that it's just IU and in a Caitlyn in this stage of the game, she's simply going to struggle?
No, it's not. I think that the setup here by Los was actually really important. The fact that they burned IU's flash, honestly, quite early on into that exchange without actually having to commit anything, was a pretty big deal. Now we get to see that Furia adapting is to how they play this game, with sending the jungler to split push as a set of tier 2 turrets end up being felled in exchange for one picked up by Furia. Don't mind this play, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they got something out of it.
Yeah, you were going to probably lose those turrets anyway, so
yep,
we're not against it. Let's get RFC on IU. Let's see if that can turn the tides of a fight back around. But if not, I mean, you're waiting till 6 items in Caitlyn Exodia before anything actually genuinely positive might happen.
Yeah, you're in a bit of a tough spot here. But like you said, instead of waiting it out, Furia do choose to get something, anything back before things get a little too out of control. You're buying your time for Caitlyn to be able to 1v9, if she will be able to, but that is still a long ways off. Los Grandes up 3,000 gold now. Tatu on a bit of a bad spot. Dudu goes forward with the calling, and it's enough. Reaches over the base wall into what Furia thought was safety, and now their jungler is down.
And the culling lives up to its name there. Tatu steps too far forward, gets culled off. Yeah, and he's the one with all the gold as well. 1,300 over Curse, but the Rek'Sai will not care. As the Trundle falls, now the Nexus turrets maybe going to be up for grabs here for Los. The inhibitor turret's a formality. It's a 3v5 in the base right now for Furia, and they don't really stand too much of a chance. As soon as Los looks to commit, start to take these structures, they're going to fall.
Yeah, Los Grandes, they're kind of going for the jugular here. They're trying to get maximum possible value out of this. And all of a sudden, I mean, that on the top side, you are responding a little bit with Gigo. So again, look, Furia are in a tough spot right now. Give them credit, though. They found something. They found a couple of things, in fact. But the base is in tatters. 2 inhibs down before 30 minutes. The Baron call was absolutely the right one. And now, I want to check in on a couple of those item spikes we were talking about. You mentioned the 3-item spike for Zest. Now with the Cyrildas, with the armor pen, and with another Dirk in tow. Zest is going to do a lot of damage. But Feisty, man, it keeps coming back to him. He's got the 10-stack rod. He's got the Seraphs as well, the tier 3 boots. You spend a little too much time in Feisty's range, and he will melt you. This is Los Grandes are in a fantastic spot right now.
You know, after game number 1, we were a little bit concerned 4x4 that this could just be, honestly, like so many series have been in this playoffs, just a little bit of a stomp, just a little bit underwhelming. But Los here, looking absolutely clinical with this. I think here trying to sync up their waves so they can push 2 in at the same time, force Furia to create a mismatch. You'll see the mid wave going to go into their Nexus turrets as this top wave comes through, but IU a little bit too quick with the Piltover Peacemakers. Dudu forced to flash there away.
Forced to flash. You got the culling interrupted by the pillar. Gigo gonna eat some damage as well. Has to Pathmaker himself out of the way. Curse looking for a cheeky way in. Only level 14 on this Rek'Sai, but can buy a lot of time. Can be a disruptive force with the Void Rush. Ackerman has to flash away now. Furia looking for the counter punch. They got the TP in. They're looking for blood. They will not find it.
Okay, it's Ackerman flash in favor of the TP from Gigo. Now, this would have been good had Furia fought for that second or for their 3rd dragon. I mean, they'd have no TP shield on the Cassante in the time before this soul fight. As it is, Furia can sit back, they can relax, they can give this dragon and try to get gold onto IU. make sure that he's able to get as much in his back pocket as possible, whilst Los just have to sit and be content with the fact that this isn't going to be that big mountain soul to see them over the edge. But the goal here for Los should really have been to try and break open that top turret. I think as it is, the bot lane inhibitor will be felled and will still be down as that Baron respawns only 20 seconds after the Drake. So they're going to have pushing pressure down on the bot side. Take the Dragon, take the Baron, and then work your way back through that top side. Maybe work your way into a mid lane when those inhibitors have respawned. But Los, the game for the next minute or so should play itself. It's whether or not Furia have got a way back into this one. Still another set of super minions coming from the base of Los. These importantly respawn quicker, or the quicker respawning waves. There's more super minions that are going to start barreling down at you when you lose that inhib.
Furia in a tricky spot. The gold lead only up to 5,000. That's obviously very sizable. I'm not trying to say that's not a lot, but the game hasn't exactly exploded like it did when Furia took their Baron. So it's far from over. But IU now on 3 items here, but it still feels like you need that LDR before we can start taking him seriously. Is that too harsh?
I think if he'd have gone like an AD item on 3, we'd be discussing his power, but at this point, he can still do damage. LDR, you're right. Probably the break point for him to be massive as Tut's now TPing in, but the Baron's pretty much gone. Can Tatu find his way in?
Is getting shredded. Feisty's in the back of the pit. Now exactly where you find yourself. But Tatu swipes away the Baron. He does what he does, man. This is just how he rolls. Now Furia, their health bars are incredibly low. They've got their backs turned to Los Grandes, and a big TP from Zest. Can he be the difference maker in this fight? Shirelia's pop, trying to get Furia a little bit more movement speed to get the heck out of dodge and extend this game a little bit. Big petrifying gaze comes through. The damage from Zest is massive. IU trying to do what he can, but it's not enough. It is simply too little, too late. Double kill for Zest, making a triple as Los Grandes lose the Baron, but they win the fight out, and they might just end here, Roodood.
Yeah, they're going to have to deal with Baroned up waves, but they've got double supers down on that bot side. IU and Jojo still alive. The Caitlyn Karma, this entire composition left to defend.
Well, you were the main character in the draft. Caitlyn Karma, now you've got to pull off a miracle and extend this game for your team. Baron of Minions actually doing a little bit more than I thought. To be fair, I thought this was a done deal. Jojo gets the root down onto Zest, but you got to be careful you don't get picked. This isn't about getting kills. It's just about protecting your Nexus.
Yeah, the Baron, genuinely a true savior here for Furia. The inhibitors respawning as well does thwart it. And it means for now, 4x4, the game continues. IU and Jojo able to do just enough. IU did go back to base, and in the very brief interim that he had, quickly recalls in the brush, picks up an LDR as he walks back out of the base to defend it, and that is enough to keep the game going here. But if Tatu doesn't find this smite, if he doesn't find this secure,
man,
that's the game. That's game 2 going their way. A little bit of a HP regen on Curse's side, but smited at 1508 as opposed to anything underneath that. And then this flash forward, the aggression from Los. They know that they needed to go. This was go time for them, and now they're looking for it again on live.
I was going to say, speaking of aggression from Los, the TP forced out by Gigo. Is it enough? And they find what they're looking for. Los Grandes, they're trying to be clinical with their ending blow. They know that Furia are not a team to be taken lightly. This is still, it's only a 2,500 gold lead. This is far from over. They have to be clinical if they want to close this one out. We'll see if they can find that ideal fight, because remember, okay, as God intended, Furia have the Baron somehow with that smite steal. Furia saved the game potentially. Curse again. He's got the GA now, looking for a way into this one.
It's a big
Feisty, looking for a big petrifying gaze as well.
Big wave bot as well, and they need to be answered here. So Los toggling between all 3 waves. I wouldn't even mind if Furia sacked off mid lane. Look at the size of that bot wave. If they Baron that up, like, that turret's falling immediately, but I think they've done just enough here to poke out. It's going to be the mid lane inhibitor. Let's look bot lane. Maybe try and take that as well with the massive wave that's there, but Feisty's going to head them off. The Baron's worn away also.
Yeah.
I feel like in a minute's time, that fight for the Dragon going to be crucial as well. See who it is that's able to actually take that. Furia
Unfortunately,
take it.
yeah.
If they slow the game down, might be this Caitlyn actually able to fulfill the prophecy.
Yeah, let's see. And it's all onto her. The Knight's Vow has come in, like you were predicting. Tuts has himself a Seeker's Arm Guard. So a lot of these items could be making a big, big difference here. As this goes on, Randuin's coming in for Gigo as well. The short-range composition outside of Zest for Los Grandes could get decent value out of that and the Frozen Fist.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the Randuins, but is the Randuins what you should be buying here? Where's my, I don't know, insert Force of Nature, any MR item
Yeah,
that's
Fawn,
truly
exactly.
heavy hitting, right? The Cassiopeia gets stronger and stronger with every item. Void Staff, pretty much finished. Isn't going to be ready for this Soul. Furia, though, they do control this bot side river. Los have sort of dodged out on some of the vision by going through mid lane, but Furia know exactly where they are. They have been able to wrestle back control, though. They've forced Furia back into their own jungle.
Yeah.
They'll have first purchase, but there's a big TP behind them, actually.
Furia, always the aggressors. They are going for it. Tuts gets the Winds of War down. Doodoo doing decent damage onto Tuts. Man, oh man, that is more than I thought. He gets one with the taunt, but Curse goes underground. He's going to dodge the majority of it. Cullen goes out. Zest with the Shock Blast. Ultra Mega Fire Kick doesn't find its mark. Tuts taken low in the blink of an eye, man.
Yeah, and now he's going to have to base. He doesn't have TP to get back into this one. Los are going to see the Galio recalling. Hopefully just take this Drake for themselves, and that's it. Furia, unless Tartu can wander his way in here, I think Los need to stop this one.
He's got another miracle in him. Maybe he will be able to, but it will not be able to. It was close. He doesn't walk back, does Tuts. Instead, he ults back in to try to get there in a hurry. Mountain Soul for Los Grandes. The health bars kind of even across both teams. Los Grandes look for a potential catch, a potential pick, but they will not find it. Mid lane, Super Minions barreling down through that inhibitor. And again, we're back to a bit of a stalemate, Roodood, but the borrowed power goes Los Grandes' way.
A tense time here in game number 2. Both of these sides giving us a finals game at the very least to remember, with Los with pretty much every measurable advantage, but save for the power of a late game Caitlyn. 4.5 items. He's going to continue to get stronger here with ever more gold being flooded into her. Is it BT? Is it Guardian Angel? Whichever item it is, it gives IU that extra layer of safety now. It's been going full glass cannon up until this point.
Yeah.
That 5th item being picked up, you get that next layer, that extra level that just gives you an opportunity to play that little bit more aggressively, to find that one flash forward. Now TP's back into the mid lanes. This is Gigo looking to find his way in. Eyes on Zest. How good is his poke? Eyes on the culling. Yeah, here we go from Dudu, but it does nothing.
It's absolutely nothing. You know who doesn't have a Serpent's Fang? Holy moly. Headshot takes out a chunk of Dudu's health. Zest poke pretty good, though. Like you were alluding to, that Serpent's Fang certainly doing work. But the Surreal does as well. You've got the pen. Curse looking for a surprise way in. Again, with the GA, got that extra life.
All in lieu of this Baron, which has now spawned.
Yeah.
IU dashes, well, Dudu dashes forward. IU headshots him for it and takes half his health away. Second time we've seen that, but the Lucian at this stage going to get Cozy Camp fired up, going to have a little bit of healing in there. And every time it's low, stepping forward, they have to deal with this super wave. Have to clear that wave out. And again, every 20 seconds that wave spawns, so they don't really have the time to walk back and start taking anything else.
Now it's Tust who's behind Curse. IU taking low. He has the 90 caliber net his way out of there. He's going to get Hero's entrance on, but it's nothing. Tuts gets in there, but the damage is done. Los Grandes on the front foot. Gigo trying to do whatever he can, but Zest mops him up on way to a double. IU just a little bit too far forward, and it is doomed. Los Grandes put the chase into Furia. They chase them back into their base. Do they turn it around for the Baron, or do they just try to end here?
I think you have to try to go for the end. You've got a 3v5 on the map, but if this goes badly, there's a top wave that can be TP'd to. Well, not really. Touch doesn't have it, but it's a 5 versus 3 now in the base. How good's the wave clear by Furia?
Is it good enough? Curse gets in there onto JoJo. Now he's down. The taunt's going to buy just a little bit of time. But it's just about buying time for the rest of Los Grandes to get onto the Nexus. They know that the game is won. They're going to play with their food a little bit. Los Grandes, by hook or by crook, it was a scrappy, gutty win for the underdogs in this final. They tie it up. It's going to be a best of 3 to decide who goes to MSI.
And I hate to be that guy. You take a look at the summoner spells right at the end of that game. IU still has the flash available. There has to have been something in that fight. Be it a Rek'Sai flashing on you, be it some source of damage there. But IU, that composition is about you, my friend.
Yep.
As our best marksman from Brazil.
You've got the number
Cannot be
10 jersey for
allowing
crying
you.
out loud. That means
Yeah.
something in Brazil.
We cannot be allowing you to be dying like that. With your flash up, with your flash ready. It's just not good enough.
Is that a moment that will haunt them? Should Los Grandes take this? Well, should Los Grandes take this series? It's absolutely going to be a moment that haunts them. You got to bounce back here in a big, big way. It's all going to be on the back of that guy right there, IU. We'll see how the compositions, evolve, maybe, right? Because you've got capable carries in Tuts and in Gigo, right? Or at least give yourself something else, right, to be able to play through. Because last time it was the Scion, and last time it was the Ari that got going and was able to be sort of a 1.5 carry. And IU didn't have as much of that burden on his shoulders. But yeah, you can blame the draft, but the individual execution absolutely is a part of it in that last fight, like you pointed out, Roodood.
Yeah, if they get on the Caitlyn dies, and ultimately, IU let them there get on top. So that's a problem. That's something that is going to have cost them this game, and we'll see whether or not at this stage in his career, IU going to be able to bounce back. But he'll know full well that game was within his grips. It was his game to lose. That's unfortunately what happened there.
So we'll see how now Furia have a chance to bounce back. I mean, Los Grandes, let's remind ourselves, they're playing with house money here. They were not supposed to be here. I think even maybe the most optimistic of Los Grandes fans would have told you that they were good enough. But I think everybody else said, look, this team is going to be really sick next split. They absolutely are a banana skin team, but they have romped through the lower bracket and now find themselves just 2 games away from an international appearance. It would be an international debut for everybody on that roster besides Ackerman. It'd be really, really cool to see them, some fresh blood. The Furia, they still hold the crown for now. We'll see if they can hold on to it as we progress through this series. Game 3 on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere.
Do we fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love? Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A soul right of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
We know you like best of fives. Well, how about a best of three? After 1-1, the series score, Los Grandes come back and take it in a very Los Grandes fashion. Scrappy, not a blowout at all. Furia almost got back into it, but slight misposition by IU means that as we get into draft here for game 3, it is all to play for. We've got a ball game. We've got a whole new series on our hands. 2 more wins, and one of these teams are going to go to MSI. The other ones will have their dreams crushed forever and ever. Amen. And by that, I mean until next split, so like 2 months from now.
Yeah, we do. We have got a draft as well here. So Furia, importantly here, a little bit of a change up from what we usually see, have elected to take last pick. Very frequently it is that, the teams will opt for first pick and then lose out on blue side. It does make our jobs a little easier, though. It's B1. It's the good old days of League of Legends.
Yes.
Where we can remember blue side has first pick, and that's about it here. So we'll keep our eyes out for what that's going to be. Looks like the Orianna has been locked on in. But for me here, a little bit of a weird one, because Furia lost last game where they didn't have that pick, and they've elected to go for it again here. So they've ran back the strategy that failed them instead of the one that they had some semblance of success on previously.
Well, and I think what the R5 that Furia are going to have in this draft speaks to me is, okay, well, one, you get to get yourself a ready-made bottom lane combo, which they do like, right? They picked second in last draft, but they got themselves the Caitlyn Karma just immediately after the first pick, Milio. But now, to me, that says, all right, you know what? Or at least I'm hoping it says we've learned from our mistake. We're going to give one of our solo laners something to carry on, or at least something to get an outsized advantage in lane on, and not just leave everything up to IU.
And I think that's a very important lesson to have learned, to be completely honest with you. As much as, we love IU in Brazil, he was featured in global trailers as well, if I'm not mistaken, for international successes.
Before he did literally anything.
Yeah. So sort of really highly touted and very much a prospect from the Brazilian scene. That last game, you die with flash up when you're the hyper carry. That's a disaster. That's not good. So needs to change. Needs to give some carry over to the rest of the team maybe, or we need to see him improve in this series, and that's also decidedly possible.
Well, now you've got an outplay button, at least, for on the Xayah. You've got your blade caller, or your Featherstorm, I should say.
I call it an oh shit,
Yeah, hey.
Same thing.
Depending on what the result is, they're 2 sides of the same coin.
That's true. That is true.
Rumble locked in here as we get into game 3. Yeah, so Rumble will be the response. Gigo on the Ornn. This is my comfort food. Gigo on Ornn. It takes me back to simpler times.
It does. And obviously, right, we've got the Rumble locked in. It's Zest going, guys, they can't counterpick me with Cassante. Only to then immediately get owned, right? Like the budget Cassante almost. I know they do different things in team fights, but the laning phase acts the same for Zest here, whether he likes it or not. So we'll see whether or not Zest can have some more successes. I think his Jace in the last game, in fairness, not to be giving out a Jace pass unwarranted, and I don't think that he earned the Jace pass, but he didn't lose it either.
No, I 100% agree with you. It wasn't stellar, but it did its job. It softened everybody up early on. You built the Serpent's Fang early, and look, his poke was great. He held his own in the laning phase, and at the end of the day, his team won. So inevitably, that is going to warp our perception of things.
Poke was really good. Build was really good. Worked out nicely for him. As we move into the second round of bans, a Victor ban there. Is there an Annie in the offing here that we're looking for? Hey, man, you know what? That's really good for Furia here. It's looking like it's relying very heavily once again on IU. Whenever you draft the Annie, I'm always worried and saying, well, your team has no damage. So unless Tartu's about to take Kindred into the jungle, I'm not convinced of this Annie pick necessarily, if it means Furia are looking to change things up. But they do ultimately have counter pick, and they have it for the jungle role. So you would imagine that Tartu here has got something in the works.
You would hope so, yeah, because R5 traditionally goes to a solo laner. Not this time, evidently. So we'll see what he's going to bust out here. I wouldn't hate seeing a Tatu Kindred. I think that would be extremely hype. Anivia locked in on the other side, though, so it will be Anivia, or sorry, that's still just a hover, my bad. But the Rel will be locked in, and Curse, put that boy on on a tank jungler, man. I just, do it. Don't overthink it. Don't get too cute with it. This is a nice, well-rounded plug-and-play composition for Los Grandes. The Olaf, let's go!
There we go. Something spicy. That checks out. It's triple immobiles here for Los as well. So Rumble, Ori, Varus, none of them have got mobility. And they've all got CC as a form of peel. Well,
guess what?
I care not for your CC, and I think this is a really solid pick here for Tatu. You could see that's why they've waited here. They've gone, okay, well, we're waiting. Let's see. If their jungle pick here gets murked by an Olaf and they lock in a load of CC, I'm taking this, and it just fits so nicely here. There's no Jarvan to counter. It's been taken out by Fearless, and the whole system here feels really easy to execute. A nice plug and play for Tatu, as he's going to be able to hopefully run rampant on the Viking.
Yeah, you've kind of gotta. This is really good stuff. And look, we haven't seen kind of hard carry Tatu in a while. This is not the meta, right? And he hasn't had to be fair. He's got 4 excellent players around him. The Brazilian national team for the ENC is made up by a lot of Furia players. It will not surprise you. Roodood, you're not really are you an anime girly?
I'm not, I'm afraid, no.
Okay.
My limitations are Pokemon, and that's it.
Okay, that's all right. For anyone in the chat looking for something to watch, speaking of Vikings, Vinland Saga, slapper. Phenomenal stuff. Great storytelling, character development, a little depressing, and a slapper of an intro as well, if you're into that sort of thing. So, yeah, we'll see
I'm all here for a good music track. That's a different story.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll send that over via the YouTube between games 3 and 4 into your Discord DMs. But for now, we're in Los Grandes going to face off in game 3. Roodood, it is not all going to be the IU show, and I think everybody's pretty happy about that. So we will see. Yeah, we'll see if nothing else, dude, we get a hard carry. We get like OG Tatu. This is what he came up on. Was just this like hold my Caipirinha, watch me just press R and run at people style of jungling.
Well, he will be pressing R. He will be running at people. And the problem, so we've talked about the strengths of the Olaf in this competition. Talk about some of the pitfalls that may go in the same conversation here. Those being that if Olaf falls behind, Olaf is really, really weak and tends to struggle. Yep. Now, this invade is spotted. Fully charged piercing arrow. Going to find a nice double onto the bot lane of Furia. But Tatu, nice little start here. He's kind of got free reign as well. I don't think there's too much that can be done as a Skarner if you're getting invaded on by an Olaf.
Yeah, I was going to say that the early damage, the early skirmishing power certainly favors one side of this matchup. And if there's anyone you can trust to kind of steamroll a game, it is that man on the Olaf right there. And he's going to have to, like you said, Roodood. Otherwise, you're doing a traffic cone cosplay. And as much fun as that might be, and as the fun colors you might be playing with on that, that can't happen in this game.
We might even be looking for a 2-wave dive down on the bot side. Sacrifice Jojo. Look for the best.
Yeah, that'd be cheeky.
That wave is now crashing. Feels like Los have recognized this as a possibility as they backed away from the turret, I think, to put a ward down in that pivotal brush that would spot it out. And as it is, looks like Tatu's actually gone back to base and immediately back out to his top side to try and stop what is a cursed late invade. Tatu flashed there.
So they got something out of that. But now Tut's flashing forward, gets the Q stun onto him. Curse is just a dead duckling right here. It's just a matter of who the kill goes towards. Correct answer. It is Tatu.
Yeah, this is not good. I'm going to be honest with you. Curse went for a super late invade. He did his wolves, then flew over to the Krugs, then went over to the red buff, got flash smite stolen by Tatu, who is now invading the Skarner's top side, knowing that he is homeless. I think you stick around. Tuts, let's move into the jungle. Let's take the Gromp as well. Instead, they're just going to make sure that there's enough tempo, enough speed here for Tatu to get a crab. Then he can clear his entire bot side, but this Skarner is in a really, really rough spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he gets, put behind, he can still do things. You're still made of crowd control. One good ultimate can still change a game. But you can't look at this in isolation, can you, Roodood?
Not at all. And I think that it would be Pretty silly to suggest that we could either way, with Furia coming away with that slight advantage. I'm looking to see how it grows because that's what Olaf does, right? He finds your
Mhm.
lead and then he exposes it, pushes it every chance that they get. I think if that can happen here, it's just going to be Tartu steamrolling, snowballing into a game 3 victory.
The script is written. Can they read it? Can it be followed? To extend a subpar metaphor here. Jojo and Ayu on the Zyra Khan, and not as much early power, but Tuts, he's been known to get out of lane, impact lanes. Gigo, he's got the TP as well, right? Going for a team-oriented playstyle as you do on the Ornn. But all eyes are on Tatu, man. If he can get forward and if he can just run at you, you land one axe, one undertow. All of a sudden, the timbre of this game changes. That's the one thing, right, with the Olaf that is kind of, as far as an accelerant, if you will, that does make things a little trickier is your access to lanes is not amazing, right? It isn't a Jarvan, like you were saying, right? That can flag and drag in and a Mumu that can throw in a bandage toss or something like that. So you do have to have a little bit of setup. But Tatu and this Furia squad, they know how to manipulate lanes, wave states, all that good stuff to get his jungler into favorable positions. Oh my god, that's a 22 CS lead.
Yeah, Curse has been depraved. He's fortunate to have found level 4, I think maybe through a little bit of leeching and a little bit of good work. Bot lane as well in trouble as Ackerman takes a large chunk of his HP. Remember, Varus is a champion that has been pretty much permanently banned for the entirety of this split. Now obviously finds itself struggling up against this bot lane pair of a Zyra Khan. I think the power from this Varus is looking to come in the mid game, which is where the Los composition really hit their stride. It's a comp that has this really weird bell curve of strength, and now on that top side, Zest has flash.
But he flashes right into the R2. It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Bought enough distance there. Tartu with no flash actually can't close that gap either. But it's a 900 gold lead for the Furia jungler. Since we saw Curse recalling down on the bot side, he's gone back, being able to go out and grab himself a giant spell and found his Gromp, but Tartu is about to ding level 6 after these Raptors and probably making it the problem here of Los.
A little bit of a gold lead up on the top side for Zest. Again, you pick Rumble into these sorts of champions. Jojo gonna get the heck out of Dodge. Onto Tuts. Now Dragon started up here by Tatu. Can Zest do it? I mean, where are you looking here to try to kind of, be the counterweight, right? Curse, look, you're going to have to impact the lanes just by being a subordinate, right? And that's how you play Skarner in general. But where are you looking here to try to get things going for Los Grandes?
I think that's the bad news, is that you kind of need Curse to find things in the lanes. That's what Skarner does. Skarner ganks, Skarner gets his laners ahead. But the Skarner really has no agency, no purchase. If the Olaf shows up at the same place, then it's just completely curtains. And you never really want to run that risk. It's so dangerous to try and put yourself in a position where you're actually in the same boat.
Hang on a second here. We're going to fight by the tier 2 because, of course, we are. Curse has to flash away. Ragnarok popped by Tatu. Dudu actually returning fire decently well. Does have the Chains of Corruption to go for a killing blow. That's a great spot to rip it, my friend. But instead, he will just go the old-fashioned way with the arrows, and Curse can get the kill onto Tatu. Flash forward, nice Q from Ackerman to get the stun onto Jojo. Piercing arrow almost sends him into the Gray Scream. Well, got a little bit of cold back onto Curse. Not bad.
That's not bad at all, and it stops Tartu as well. I think that if the Olaf ever falls, it's one of those champions that the second the snowball stops rolling, it can be so much harder to get it back started again.
Mm-hmm.
And with that first death, obviously, it's come quite early, and I don't think it's at that break point just yet. But Tartu would have probably loved to have found a recall where he finishes his first item here, and that's not actually going to be the case, in fact. Really starting to fall a little bit behind the curve as Curse found his red buff, which was fortunate, but with a really good stall there, keeps Tartu sort of in place. And Olaf's worst nightmare is a champion flashing away from him. Curse does exactly that and makes it a really good escape. Ragnarok runs out. Again, a reminder, Ragnarok theoretically unlimited uptime in a fight. But the Olaf required to keep hitting. If the Olaf ever stops hitting somebody, that Ragnarok runs off incredibly quickly. So flashing away, buying space. very powerful tool.
But that thing scares me, and it's just the flash icon.
Mm-hmm. It is. So
All
it's
you
why
can
you
do.
frequently see Olaf's go ghost, but then people realized if you flash over walls, the ghost is useless. So now you have to go flash, and then you don't have ghost to actually close that gap. So it's a really tricky position for an Olaf to try and play from. I think why Olaf top, I tend towards thinking is just that slight bit better because you can take flash and ghost and get the 2-for-1 meal deal on that. So we'll see if we see any Olaf tops come through in later weeks.
Yeah, see if that gets to MSI. That would be the next time we see it in this series. Obviously, with Fearless, we're not going to see Gigo on the Olaf. Well, that does feel something like he played that back in the day, right? Surely, I'm not
Yeah, must have done. There must have been a time where we've had a Gigo Olaf. That's for sure. That'll have happened once upon a time. But it's not going to happen this series, as you've mentioned. Jojo able to get away from this little setup, and it's still an advantage for Furia, don't get me wrong, and importantly as well, it's not just localized onto Tatu. They do still have IU with a slight advantage as well. I do think that the Los composition, definitely a tricky one to navigate here. Like I say, they've got this bell curve of when they are strong. Not a weak early game, but not an amazing one. They do really well on that 2-item spike with a Rumble, the Muramana completion for the Varus. And then outside of that, when the game gets really, really late, I don't know quite how they're killing Gigo here. So not a lot of truly impressive late game damage for them to try to manage. And yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Los as this game gets later. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and Dudu going into that more lane dominant build, that poke build with the Comet. You see the Dirk coming through, and it's not that, look, you can't itemize into some armor shred later, but this isn't going to be necessarily about the auto attack. You're not going to get as much value out of that with this build on the Varus. But I think it's just going to be about the Wombo combo. I mean, because the CC chaining potential of this composition is truly immense. So if you can, just like you said, it's almost like the ignore Gigo problem, right? But then you got Tatu running all up in your tossing your salad, if you will. I think Tatu will.
It's going to be a very hard position for Tatu to not do that, to be honest. Looking at the state of this one. Still a small gold lead, small CS lead for the Olaf. Has that first item now completed in the experimental hex plate. So attack speed on ulti here for the Olaf, which is a really nice little duo. You pop the ulti, you run at target, you auto attack the target to within an inch of its life, and hopefully to without an inch of its life.
Hopefully that target doesn't flash over a wall.
Yes, that's what we pray for. And for the majority of Los here, that's a possibility that they are going to have. No flashes down at present. We've got a Drake spawning in 5 seconds' time. Do you think that Los are probably looking to try and take this one here? They've got that Heart Steel. They've not yet got first items really outside of Curse, though.
You got to get something going, right? You got to get that borrowed power going somehow. They're looking to set up on this dragon, but the fight starts immediately, and onto a very unsuspecting and very unable to deal with it. Ackerman flashed over a wall, but he just went right over there with him. Dudu now in some trouble. The blast cone himself to safety. Now, a couple members of Los Grandes left in actually an okay spot, all things considered, but another kill on Tatu.
I'm just going to say, if this takes too long here, Los might look to try and collapse, try and find something else. Curse of fishing here. He doesn't know, or didn't know rather, that Tatu was there. Now they spot the Olaf walking away, but Ackerman's back up, and they've got better HP bars working towards this dragon. Yeah, Jojo can do a little bit of healing with the Gleaming Quill, but this is an objective that's going to stay standing.
Yeah, very negligible amount, I would say. Yeah, just for that little bit of edge in the lane. Yeah, let's get another look at this one here. Curse sped himself up, thought he had something on a Tatu, but Jojo goes in, and guess who's immune to the Impale? That's that boy Tatu.
We did there get Olaf Flash, which I think is probably the biggest cooldown in this game, and it was for Ackerman, which is not the target that I would expect for it to be spending so much in terms of an investment, in terms of resources on, but that's the situation that he's found himself in, and that's one that Tatu will have to reconcile with. If this Drake is now difficult because of the implication that, well, I burned Flash and got nothing for it.
Yeah, well, and that's, I think, to me, if I'm given a generous interpretation of kind of Tatu's thought process there, was just we've been talking about it the whole time. So I mean, like how important that cooldown is, right? The fact that you've got a little bit of counterplay into the Olaf, and that is the flash, and keeping the snowball rolling for him. So it's just like, look, I got to get something. I've got to stay ahead of the curve gold wise. If I don't, then this game is going to get a lot trickier for everybody involved. I am the main character right now, and I've got to be able to stay ahead of the curve. And I think that's really all that was. But like you said, Roodood, it doesn't net you much outside of that. But just as I say that, able to reestablish control over the bottom river, they should be able to walk away with this dragon. So 2-0 on that front.
Well, that's good. And I think that that's kind of the angle that you need to take as an Olaf here, is that, well, you're really just looking to secure these dragons, keep your snowball rolling, and that's exactly what is happening. I think for Furia, this is a really, really good game state. Zest has just ticked over to having the Liandry's completed. We've got Curse, who's got that Heartsteel picked up. Feisty will soon have the Blackfire. But again, these aren't those big ticket items that are going to win you a team fight, that are going to win you a game. It relies for Los very heavily on being scrappy. It's like they're fishing for Ayu here, but so safe.
Ooh. Very safe. Will be slightly less safe with no flash. Doesn't have the ultimate either. Doesn't have Ghost as well. Curse. He got himself into a not great position there. Pretty ineffective blast cone. Meanwhile, Gigo gonna eat some of the Magnet Storm. Tuts in with the flash, and he gets onto Dudu. He's got a little bit of health, but will it be enough? He actually gets onto Tuts. Tibbers is chasing him down. He's able to auto attack him to death. Zest and Curse trying to get in and lock down more targets, but not gonna get anything out of that. Feisty used the shockwave earlier on, not able to use that here to rip anybody back into a compromising position. They're just a 1-for-0 for Los Grandes.
And that's a win for them. They'll probably take the Herald off the back of this as well. Yes, they lost the Drake to begin with, but they're not going to be able to find themselves a good leg up toward this neutral, which would have probably been the thing that Furia were looking for out of that play. Remember, this is a play started by Los in all actuality. They were the ones looking for Ayu, knew that there was no ulti available for the Zyra at that time. However, with it ready now, Los, actually the ones under a little bit of pressure.
Now, Ackerman trying to go forward. There's the Feather Storm. Decent auto attack damage there onto Ackerman. He's going to crash down onto the other side. The stun does land onto him. Curse able to grab himself the Rift Herald. He will grab the eye as well, just impale something in, but he will pay for it with his life.
Are you finding the kill there? Not for nothing, actually, as any kills onto this Xayah. That's your late game insurance policy. The Orianna obviously forced to flash there, but the Olaf, your earlier game win condition, the part of the map that currently needs to be respected by Los. They do get the Herald, and they do get the eye for it as well. They find themselves a little bit of something. Hopefully they'll be able to find a scrap of a way back into this one, and maybe start to give themselves a bit of a leg up as well. No, other than game number 1 here, 4x4. No game has been straightforward, and I know that we've only had 2, but it doesn't feel like this one is going to be straightforward either. I sense a disturbance here.
I very much do as well, yes.
Yeah, what goes on, and, you know, in fairness to Dudu here, the fact that he lives is based off of misplays. Gigo actually not able to get the auto attack down, and then if there was ever a argument or an advertisement for why Annie sucks as a pick, it's right there. He flashes on Dudu, who has, 500 HP. Doesn't kill him. Now, in fairness, it was well played by Los there. There was barrier, heal, locket, and an Orianna shield that came in clutch. But, the Annie you would have thought would have been able to get that kill over the line, alas, was not there to do so.
I will play slight devil's advocate and say that the follow-up could have been better. I think I blame that more on Tuts than I do on Annie, but your point is still well taken. I just don't think that was the decision you wanted to make there. Zest will be bounced sky high and left to Tatu to get his 3rd kill of the game.
3 out of 4 for the Furia jungler, just the way it feels like Furia like it.
Mm-hmm.
On the top side of the map, plates picked up by Feisty, but that's of honestly little consequence, I'd say, as that's going to give over a tier 1 turret shared between Tatu and Tuts. And, I recall you mentioning earlier on that 5th picked for the solo laners, or usually picked for solo laners. Tatu, in the last game, tried to be a solo laner on Trundle and do the legwork to try and take it over the line. So it's not out of the realms of possibility here for Furia that they might funnel a little more gold into Tatu than we might expect. He's got 140 CS. He's only 10 behind his mid laner at this stage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is the Tatu show usually, but then especially when you pick him something like the Olaf. where it simply has to be the Tatu show. It is not a stylistic choice anymore.
Mm. Yeah, it's for the good of Furia more so than anything else here in
Yes.
this one. As gold, I'll say slightly advantageous for Furia here moving into this next Dragon fight. I don't think Los have hit that 2-item spike that I'm really looking for, that I'm really excited by here.
Mm.
You know, there's no bloodletters for Zest. I've not yet got the proto belt for Feisty. Dudu, nowhere near his Muramana yet, and typically for Varys, you don't get that till 3 just because you stack your tier so slowly.
Yeah.
So it's not the window really for them to try and take this fight, but they're feeling pressured to do so. They don't really want to give over a soul.
No, but now the fight is going to start off. Gigo buying a lot of time. Cursor's going to hoover him into the back line. Ayu getting decent damage down. The equalizer splits up for you a little bit. Doesn't get as much damage as you might like. Jojo went in with the quickness. Didn't really get much. Comes right back out. He might be in danger of getting caught here. Trying to get close to some of his allies to get that E. Get the battle dance back, but now we're not done just yet. And he goes out with the Tibbers. CC immune is Olaf. He gets onto Tatu. He's not going to eat any of that Magna Storm, Ackerman. It's a double kill for him. He's going wild. It's a triple. No, it's not, but it's effectively a triple. Tatu's doing all the legwork here. Going to take the scenic route, try to cut off Feisty and Dudu as they try to get to safety of their towers or any sort of safety. Now they call off the chase. We'll look towards that Baron, or that Dragon, excuse me.
Drake going to be picked up for Furia. No smite to contest unless Dudu's going to look to recreate some deftly magic here. It doesn't feel like this one is the play to take it for. And again, they just don't have the break points here, Los. This isn't your window to try and go for that play. They've not got the items in pocket just yet, and they're not strong enough to try and take this fight. But we'll take a look at what actually happened here, how the breakdown comes through. It's Curse who goes in for a play, but ultimately catches Jojo, which is not the target. Once again, we've talked about how supports are not the ones you want to go for. And yeah, Big Magnet Storm does really nicely, but again, where's your follow-up? Shockwave hits 3 on the back, but there's no actual damage for Feisty because those items aren't in back pocket just yet. Ayu can eat it all. Jojo survives the fact he's the first person to get focused. It's absolutely wild.
Just didn't all click at the same time. You saw all the ultimates go down and all the effect that they could have, but I mean, the Wombo combo for this composition, I talked about it earlier, it is absolutely deadly. That was a W, A, M, B, O, K, A. You get the idea. It was all staggered. And that's what you get. And like you said, the 2-item breakpoints for these champions feel a lot better. That Bloodletter's on Zest. Man, that is going to do wonders. It's going to help out Feisty as well as Zest.
He went for some deforestation strategies there. Yeah, Curse has died on the top side, and Tuts is 2v1ing them down in the bot lane as well. This is going from disastrous to near apocalyptic here for Los, as Baron's going to be taken. Is there anything extra that they might want? Tuts has TP'd away. He cheers to the crowd as well. As his team come up trumps.
Looking very, very good. A 21-minute Baron. Again, signs that things are going very well. That could certainly be one of them. Yeah, Feisty wanted a TP to try to get the catch on a Tuts. At the same time, he said, absolutely not. I will be returning to the base. Thank you very much. So now Baron here for Furia, already up 4,000 gold at the 21-minute mark. 2 towers apiece. So Los Grandes, it's not like they don't have purchase in the map. It's not like they can't respond in some way, shape, or form. But Furia out on the front foot. Get another look at the skirmish down in the bottom lane as Tuts, like you said, Roodood, got the 1v2 off.
Yeah, I mean, Zest here, he just didn't ulti anything, to be completely honest with you. Tuts does a really good job at actually turning back, goes with the proto belt forward, sort of not what was anticipated, it feels like.
No.
And then up on this top side, we're going to see a glimpse of Curse falling as he's got nothing left in the tank there. And look at the damage that Feisty's able to get out again on this Orianna. You go for proto belt second, you're not going to have that big, heavy hitting agency. So it doesn't feel good, and he's still not even got there yet. Give
Things are coming up
some
for
gold,
him, man.
Please.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate, man. I mean, you're just a Shockwave bot right now, which, look, there are worse things you could be. But
Gigo TPs.
Says goodbye. I am Ornn. I am going to leave this lane. I'm going to opt out of playing League of Legends in this specific spot, and there is nothing you can do about it. I'm going to go to the top right of my window and press X.
Yeah, I've actually elected to leave this position, and you're Rumble, so you can't stop me. With enough time for the Skarner to get in, or without enough time for the Skarner to get in there, Los just watch the Ornn TP around and have a lovely time doing so. Dudu looking to try and farm some poke, but again, this is Varus from behind as a poke Varus. Doesn't really feel like your poke ever sticks. Especially when you're up against, when you've got situations of Gleaming Quill being there, the Olaf's got sustain built in, the Ornn has far too much HP, and the Annie has a basically permanent shield that she can put on herself.
Yeah, it'd certainly be like that. Yeah, like you're listing all these things, right? I mean, of how this snowball is only going to get worse for Furia, and the ornaments are going to start to come in. Xayah is a tremendous marksman in the late game. Los Grandes, it feels like they just indexed a little too hard into this early game, and if you're not able to shut down Tatu, I mean, it started with that canyon that Tatu was opening up in the early game just by himself, and it was extended very, very nicely into this mid game here. Might not even get to a late game. Furia have completely dominated the map as we get a pause here for something.
Let's see. Where the referees run to? Where are the referees running to? Nobody on Los is moving. Looks like Furia support. In some words. Jojo, what did you do?
Yeah. Come on, bud. Surely you don't need this. Yeah, Roodood. Yeah, exactly. Just to say, hey, the Red Bull hit all at once. I simply must remove myself. Yeah, Roodood has been, it's a blowout on the way here. A blowout in game 1. A scrappy win for Los Grandes in game 2. This is the discrepancy that we kind of, we're going to look and forgive us if we're talking like the series is over. That is not the intention, but you can see sort of the style that Furia run here. It is just so oppressive. It is down your throat, League of Legends.
Yeah.
And when they're at their best, this is what they look like. And okay, all right. Jojo did a turbo poo, and now he's back.
I feel like as well, we're almost always excited when Furia go to international.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem to give us the best, the most hope almost when they go. Yeah. And that this is a team that we feel like has maybe the best ceiling, Ackerman.
I would agree with you. Gigo gets in there, touched by time with the stopwatch. Gigo gets knocked up on 2, but the Impale goes out on a 2 as well. Chains of Corruption doesn't find anything. Shut down for Zest on the Rumble, but now Tatu goes forward, and when he gets here, run for your life. 2 for 1 right now as Gigo gets on the board for another one. Tatu gets launched into the backline via the Blast Cone. He's just going to run Doo-Doo down here. Gets the Chilling Smite onto him, or the Something Smite onto him. Ackerman 1v3 to the backline. That is going to go exactly as well as you think it would. Double kill for IU. It's an ace. Tatu gets another one. Furia are up a gajillion gold.
You get to see what the strengths of Los Grandes' composition are, and it's not 5 versus 5s, unfortunately. That's Soul. That's most likely the sequence that will begin the end of game number 3. And that's probably here going to be Furia putting themselves up to match point, giving themselves the best odds at moving into an advantageous position in this series, the best chance at pushing themselves to another showcase at an international event.
When Tatu showed up, the timbre of the fight changed completely. Los Grandes did all right to get the pick, like you were saying, right? The strength isn't necessarily that 5v5, right? It is hitting all of your ultimates, being able to just burst down one target. But everybody on Furia is just so far ahead. They found Tuts here, kind of, right?
You get to see that actually Los have a lot of damage. The problem is they've got a lot of damage for one target. As soon as they expended everything onto the Annie, that's then where IU just goes absolutely crazy. A really good control ward goes down onto the cone so that Los can't all get away immediately. And Feisty, Doo-Doo there in a little bit of trouble. And by the time the cone gets hit, Tatu's on the right side of it. So actually they're able to continue, close that gap and really make some damage. Clean ace, Baron, pretty much, the closeout as they get this in a minute's time. So with the Soul at their backs, you have to imagine this game pretty well sealed.
Yeah, it would take a pretty epic throw, a pretty epic comeback by Los Grandes to Chains of Corruption. All it does is buy a little bit of time, and you've taken half the support's HP. Congratulations. Tuts all of a sudden feels like a big, large man. And he is just, able to sidestep the Impale. Only one person gets caught by that. Tatu presses R, and he laughs at you, and now it is set up for Baron time so we can close this one out.
Alrighty, 10k gold lead for Furia,
Man,
and unfortunately, this is now looking at the items about the time that Los's composition should be spiking. The problem being, of course, that they are 10k down the hole, and that this needed to happen probably 5 minutes ago, which is just untenable. It's not possible for them, and now they will bear the consequences of that here. Furia with, as we can see by that gold graph down on the bottom, actually a quite measured game number 3.
Yeah.
Feels like they've had a good couple of showings. Right, game number 1 was much the same. Game 3 feels like this is how it should have happened. And I'm actually a fan of this for Furia, because my lead up to this series was when Los give themselves decent drafts, they've executed on them. And I don't think that this draft is bad by Los. They have a very clearly defined win condition. Unfortunately, they've just been outplayed. They've been out executed, and it feels like a class difference here for our final.
Form is temporary, class is permanent. And I think that's what you're seeing here. Yeah, like you said, it's not a bad draft from Los Grandes. I called it out right when it came together. This is a very plug and play, type of draft, and you see the vision and the execution, right, or the conditions, right, to be able to do that. But it just hasn't come together. Started in the beginning. Tatu getting one over on his counterpart. He has now Flame Horizon Curse before 30 minutes. It has been that kind of game for Tatu. 15 of 16 KP. An absolute masterclass. Essence distilled of what this jungler is. This guy that feels like he's been in the league for so many years already. And Tatu, he's just getting started, man.
Just a couple of I's to dot, T's to cross. And game number 3 should surely be theirs. Tuts on the Annie here. Again, serial Annie hater, Roodood. Gonna have to sort of eat my words a little bit here. Tuts doing a very good job. He's got all the utility he needs. Swifty boots in the back pocket as well, just to make sure that he can get in and out.
Yeah.
Trying to break off Dudu. Oh my god, he's just flashed on him. Tatu.
Yep. Instead, now he's going to go on to Curse. The only reason he stopped going on to Dudu was that. But now he's left his team a little bit in the lurch here. But IU is free firing, so it doesn't matter who the CC gets onto. Tuts, Sacrificial Lamb again. Nice snipe there onto JoJo. But that's all you're going to get is a couple of highlight reel moments in the midst of a sea of epic badness by Los Grandes. And none of it went well. Furia take a dominant game 3 on the back of Tatu on the Olaf. Masterful stuff by the mascot of Brazil.
And that might not be how the TP works anymore, Gigo, but he'll be more than happy just to throw down those cooldowns to close out this game. Tatu decided he was done with game number 3.
Yep.
Was ending it whichever way he could. That was not pretty as far as Olaf engages go. But it did the job. The fight begun. The fight ended. And Furia took game 3.
Yeah, he just said, let's just, what are we doing here? We're up, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 gold. Let's just get this ball rolling, and let's close this bad boy out. So that is exactly what happened. On to game 4 we go. Furia are 1 win away. I predicted a Furia 3-1. Let's see if that ends up coming to fruition here. But for Los Grandes, Roodood, I mean, it felt like they never even got a chance to play the game. There weren't even any catastrophic mistakes by them necessarily. I mean, some of the team fight execution, they didn't line up some of the ultimates, right? Maybe the target selection was a little bit off, but I mean, I feel like I can't even knock them for the decisions that they made necessarily, because they were forced into such desperate straits early on.
Yeah, I can remember Tatu killing the enemy at his own red buff, flashing for smite to take that away. You can also remember Tatu invading sort of level 1 to try and take away the chickens. So what actually are you to do in this position?
It's a rough one.
I mean, I'm at a complete loss. How does Curse play this game? As the Skarner, feels like, that there's vindication in that 5th pick that they've taken for themselves. And that's really good to see that they are able to utilize this, what is new pick or ban, not pick or ban, but the new champ select to their advantage.
Yeah, like you said, certainly vindicated. Using that R5 for a jungler, certainly vindicated as well. Got maximum value out of that Olaf, like you called out in draft, dude. So yeah, they're now 1 win away from MSI, where certainly they feel they belong. See if they can get over the hump. On to game 4 we go. Los Grandes, of course, have something to say about it when we go to a game 5. But either way, we'll be right back with the rest of the action in the series. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being here on this most blessed of days, the CBLOL final day. I am 4x4. That is Roodood. We've got game 4 coming up here. The 2 games that Furia did win were pretty stompy. Came in with a very specific plan, executed it to a plum, especially in this game 3. Tatu on the Olaf, something we hadn't seen in a long, long time, but man, was it good to have back. And I'm just glad it worked out, because throwing down a gauntlet like that in game 3, if that doesn't go well, you're down 2-1. All of a sudden you go, oh man, we have drafted ourselves into a corner in back-to-back games and kind of pissed down our legs, and now we find ourselves in a very rough situation. Fortunately, no urine came out of anywhere, and Furia actually in a really healthy spot here, up 2-1 on a Los Grandes team that they certainly feel that they are superior to. If they don't paint themselves into a corner, they've got no reason to lose to these guys.
No, they don't. And they have done a very good job in games 1 and 3 at playing to what they need to. Obviously, game 2, they drafted a style. The stat sheets are out now for Furia. Like, they've got the available champions list going round, just to make sure that they know what's happening. And even though Los have really had a gargantuan run, like, don't get me wrong, they were knocked down into the lower bracket, literally first series out. They've taken down literally everybody in the lower bracket so far. They swept aside BKS, Loud, Fluxu, Red, all to make it to this final with Furia. And that might just be one step too far. They've already punched their ticket to a lovely little boot camp in Korea, if nothing else. But they'll be hoping to go one step further and be boot camping for an MSI series.
Yeah, get some games against Gen G. Ackerman versus Carrier is a series that I've always wanted to see, actually.
We all know who wins that one. Ackerman is our GOAT.
And damn right, put him on the All-Star. Watch out, ladies and gents. But as we get into game 3 here, I mean, game 4, I should say, Los Grandes, right? I don't know, anything you want to see from Los Grandes draft-wise? It feels like they've actually, they haven't drafted poorly this series. They've executed when Furia have left the door open, right? They've been kind of a good, you must be this tall to ride sort of thing, but it hasn't exactly all kind of come together. Do you go just more stock standard, or do you get wild and woolly here in game 4?
I mean, I think my problem is that all of the areas of the map that I was previously excited by have all kind of let me down so far this series. In that, I was really excited to see what Zest could do. He's been neutered by Gigo. I was really excited by what Dudu would be able to do. Has been neutered by Ayu and Jojo down on that bot side. So the strong parts of Los aren't kicking just yet. And maybe we need to see them be given a massive team, a massive composition that they can thrive in. Maybe that's what we need to see happen. For them to succeed, like, are we going to see Zest Vayne pop off, take us to a game number 5? Or is it, put the fries in the bag, champ, do nothing else, and and wait for success to come your way elsewhere?
Yeah, I think you got to go down swinging, right? I mean, Zest is your best piece. I think put him on the Vayne, right? I mean, especially if Gigo is going to, as we get into draft here, go on a tank pick, which, that is kind of what he is known to do. And when you're up 2-1, why would you deviate from the script, right? So that's kind of how I see this one playing out. Gigo is able to do monstrous things on a tank. Just leave him be. He's good on the Scion. He gets solo kills on the Cassante, right? Things like that. And then Los, that's your counterpunch here. They will be picking second, so they will have R5 for that. Which, they got to take that Vayne first rotation, or you risk it getting banned out, or whatever you choose to pick, right? It doesn't have to be the Vayne, but you do have to navigate this draft with intentionality if you are Los Grandes.
Yeah, we've seen now. Obviously, this was Los taking last pick for themselves. Hopefully, we can bring the draft now full screen, get a little look at the bans going on as well. If my small ability BDIs don't deceive me. Nocturne, Neferi, so jungle focus so far. No Xin Zhao ban here is worth mentioning, and that's probably the best jungler that's left up of the rest.
But now Tatu going to be on the, Tatu, his team is going to be on the Twisted Fate game. And that's going to go right to Tuts, you would imagine. I do love to see Ackerman on an engaged support. But you do give Dudu just the Senna. I say just the Senna because, look, I just getting the game to the late game hasn't exactly been Los' strong suit.
No, it's not. I do think the Senna is, like, kind of crazy strong right now. I think that her build path is really favorable for her. You get AD and AP from Shiv, which is something that she benefits from really nicely, and you can kind of neutralize pretty much any bot lane here. I mean, this is just probably, I was going to say Ash Lulu, but Ash Renata gets picked up. The Lulu's already banned out, so not a tried and true duo, but definitely one that I think can work quite well. Really oppressive, really easily able to poke out as well. The E from the Renata can do a little bit of chip damage. The ability that Ash has to play out range is really nice as well. So Ackerman sort of given the ball here and said, hey, you need to make this work with these hooks. And if that can't be the case, we're probably just going to see Furia absolutely dumpster Los once again. But Amel locked in here. Really good answer to the Twisted Fate. You see that gold card come flying at you. You toss it right back at them.
Yoink.
So we'll see. And again, this is a possibility for Los to succeed with, but not necessarily the easiest thing in the world.
No, but you see the conditions kind of coming out, right? Like you said. And, you know, like you said, it's not going to be the easiest execution, but now you've got top and jungle. And you still got that all-important carry for Zest available to be busted out here. And the jungle for Curse, what are they going to throw him on? He gets the Nefiri respect band. Nocturne not going to be available either. Do you just go Sejuani, right? I think depending on what you put in the top side, that's a respectable pick. Fight front to back, play these more drawn-out fights that the Senna likes, right? Give Feisty as many opportunities to get the reflex off as possible, right? Build up those stacks, get that big last burst of damage. I wouldn't hate to see that.
Alrighty. Los, who are going to take their first pick out of the second phase, will probably be the jungler, you'd like to hope. Will be the one that they end up locking on in. And there's that Vayne ban that kind of expected at this stage to keep Zest from having an absolutely gargantuan performance to take us to a game number 5. Still a couple of picks up his sleeve, though. Won't just be the only thing that he's got up in the tank if they need to go for one of those marksmen on that top side. And it feels like that's what they're setting up for here. With a Senna in the back, you know that's not going to be a consistent DPS threat until you're super late game. Just making sure that you've got all of the tools possible. Sends out to bridge them to the late game. One of the worst picks from the CBLOL thus far, 6-20 for the Xin in CBLOL Split 1 as we respond with Susan in the jungle. Croc up top.
Oh, boy.
Pick your marksman into this, boy.
This is going to be very interesting. We have not seen Nasus jungle in Brazil, but Tatu, he played against Griffin just last year. Taking a page out of his book. He made that work in the LCS. Now, what is going to be the R5 in the top lane? It will be the Kennen coming in for Zest. You mentioned that at the top of the show, Roodood, that could be something he defaults to. And indeed, at this one, that is going to be the case. Boy, oh boy, what a spicy game 4 we have on our hands.
Yeah, NASA's Twisted Fate is a 2v2 that I don't think wins really anything. I'm going to be honest with you. Los have the run of early game. Outside of that top lane matchup, where I actually think that the Kennen into the Renekton are going to be very volatile, not necessarily favorable one way or the other, but definitely quite volatile on both sides. It's very, very difficult for Los to lose this early game. I think that actually Senna Nautilus, pretty powerful 2v2 as well, even into an Ashen Arta. So, I mean, my expectation here, definitely for a Los advantage through the early stages of this game and possibly across all 3 lanes. So we'll see how the Nasus can do here because it's got very weak conditions surrounding it.
Yeah, and I think that's what you got to really look at with any sort of Nasus comp, right? It's okay, the Nasus that's all well and good, but it is not just as simple as pick a Nasus win game. The composition you construct around it has to be very intentional. You pointed out a little bit, so I'm just gonna let you actually kind of expound on that point here, right? I mean, what do you see as kind of the pitfalls? Like you said, you mentioned there's a weak 2v2 in the mid jungle. Where else are you looking as far as pain points potentially for this Nasus comp?
If it doesn't get pushed in on the top side, the Renekton can support. If it does get pushed in, then that can obviously be a problem. We were concerned, or rather, you could sort of tell that there was concern for Furia that there would be a marksman on that top side. That Nasus came in as a preventative measure, and the Kennen sort of the best of both, where you go this range pick to bully the Renekton early, but the Wither doesn't necessarily have that much of an effect. I do think as this game gets later, Kennen getting Withered is a really big deal because he relies so heavily on movement speed as well. Obviously, Wither really good for the attack speed slow, but the move speed is equally important here. So the fact that that's going to have an impact later on as well, definitely something to consider. It's obviously all to do with if Zest can get a lead, and you'll see here that actually he's opted into the Ignite to almost ensure that he does.
Zest understands the assignment. He knows that he's got to put this Renekton in the dirt. And if you can't put the Renekton into the dirt, right, if this Furia composition does not get into a decent spot by kind of 10 or 15 minutes, it is going to be brutal to play into this Los Grandes comp. They certainly have a lot of firepower in this one. Ashranada.
Oh, close here.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned you kind of favor, maybe not favor, maybe I'm taking, not words that you didn't say and putting them in your mouth, but yeah, the Ghost burned and the heal on both sides burned on the bottom side. How do you see this bottom lane playing out? Like you said, you've got the...
Yeah, should be winning for Furia, actually, for the most part. 2 hits, and if Feisty lands that Tuts that dies, by the way. But Tuts with fancy enough feet to get away. The bot side should relatively be favorable for Furia. They obviously have combat summoner spells missing from both marksmen. The Ghost is going to be looked to kite out this Zinzao, dodge some of those crucial Mel spells, and get out of a Kennen. But the cleanse there for Dudu really not going to do anything in the 2v2 pre-level 6. Obviously, post-level 6 is going to be massive, but before then, you kind of have nothing.
Taja getting shoved in right now. Will hit level 3 here in the... any kind of the blink of an eye.
Kills here.
Oh, yep, oh my goodness! That's now Tuts has no flash.
And good respect paid with that. Knows that blue card's coming on back. That's going to do some good damage. And yeah, it's not looking good for Tuts in the mid lane thus far. I think Feisty needs to be careful, and you can see that there's a good amount of support being put his way. And I think that the bright side is that he's playing against Nasus jungle, so the ganks aren't amazing.
No.
As long as you're not literally sat under their turret with no wards on either side, it's pretty difficult to get ganked and die. So that is a very good preventative measure, at the very least, that we are seeing be picked up, as a ward on the Raptors had already gone down, so they knew where the Nasus was nice and early. And on this top side, not much better either. So Furia currently, the age-old adage, you go triple losing lanes and lose the game. So we'll see if that ends up happening for them here. Down on the bot side, feels like they're one true haven.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can see Tartu play through this bot side, get Io and Jojo a little bit of an advantage.
Man. I mean, the burst damage that Feisty can do is just immense. And Zest not letting Gigo back either. Finally going to get a little bit of respite here, as both these top laners will TP back. Gigo went with that Doran shield early. Zest knows the pain points, knows the power points of his champion. Opting for that early damage. Gigo come back with a null magic mantle. Yeah, up about a wave and a half is Zest, and Feisty up essentially 2 waves.
Alrighty, and he's consistently pushing out the TF. No TP here, so Feisty, when he burns his spells on the wave like this, does allow for Tuts to maybe stay, but no, goes for the recall, and now he's going to be in a really bad spot, actually, in this mid lane.
Yeah.
Talk about 2 waves, it's double his TS as well at this point, so...
Man.
Plate picked up for Feisty. This is the type of lead that we'd be looking for from a low mid laner. Maybe try and take this as Hook comes through on the bot side.
Funny snap as the handshake finds its mark, I should say. Yeah, Dudu and Ackerman. They've been, I mean, they're a full half level up. I mean, they've been level 4 for what feels like 10 years. All IU and JoJo can do is just focus on CSing and just try to get something back. They have gotten 1 recall off, so they've gotten the recurve bow and the dagger for now.
Doran's bow.
Hasn't. Oh my goodness, that is a Doran's bow. You're right.
I was doing the same thing. Don't worry. You have to train yourself.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I forgot about those. We haven't seen the Doran's helm all that much. I mean, have you? I feel like I haven't seen it as much. Maybe I'm just not paying attention.
It goes in top lane occasionally.
Sidestepped, but potentially the wrong way? Question mark. Wind becomes lightning. does not become lightning.
That was a ooh ah ah for Ackerman there, because he
Yeah.
he threw himself most definitely into the business. A couple more autos from Feisty here. Might have been able to find a kill again. Flash Q, get Golden Eclipse, execute threshold, but not looking for it. Furia now looking to give a little bit of help over to their mid laner, who has definitely struggled.
Yeah.
Feisty, you can see he wants the kill.
He wants it. And Jojo and Tatu want to help him out. Feisty smells something. Wither goes down.
All right.
He as well.
And he walks away.
He walks away.
Nicely done, I guess, for Feisty there, which, well, he'll take that. Good ability to escape, and oh
Wait.
no!
Man, I've seen those
Disaster.
given. I've seen those
Yeah.
given with the Nautilus hitbox.
We have, and we might well see Feisty struggle his way out
Nope.
of here as well. Joju flash healed. Wasn't even in range for the heal, so it didn't actually connect. But that hook missed. So it means that he doesn't actually find the damage. And I mean, Feisty here playing with a lot of, I will say, aggression. For lack of a better term here, is he's playing with flash and playing very much on the edge of his capabilities. Is actually what I'm looking for there. Is had flash up multiple times and not burnt it, whether he needed to or not. So far has proven not, but I'd like to think that he'd have looked for a couple of flashes to maybe find a kill or to find some safety.
So still about an 800 gold lead. The Dragon did go over to Los Grandes as well. And they found their leads in, well, one of the places they wanted to, certainly that mid lane. But Gigo is even up the CS. Not afraid to, kind of force the issue here as well. As Zest is on his way to a Gunblade question mark.
Could be. He's got a Vamp Scepter, so needs to be. Unless I'm seeing
no.
Blade of the Ruined King Pennon on my screen, as Tuts is hella dead, finally.
He's, extremely dead. First blood goes over to Los Grandes. Compliments of Feisty. You're landing the killing blow there. The smell's going to be an issue if you leave her unsupervised.
That's been it's been coming, this kill in the mid lane.
Yes.
Tuts has been playing with house money, I think, for a good long while here. Finally ends up falling, and he's down 30 CS. And again, a reminder, this is Twisted Fate here. So Twisted Fate passive is doing a certain amount of legwork at keeping this gold lead from being a lot more scary and maybe dangerous than it ought to be.
Absolutely. I got to keep that in mind just a little bit, but I mean, but really only so much. And I mean, Tuts, he's going for the Rod of Ages. So this is still, this is still a bit the Tatu show. Gigo will have to be a bridge. I don't know, man. I'm worried for Furia right now. They are not rolling.
Typically not a good sign, as Los looking to take this fight on the top side. Arrow hits.
That is massive, but trying to be a body is Ackerman. Dawning Shadow over the top, going to give them a little bit of a boost. Feisty in a little bit of trouble, gets backed into a corner and shut down by Tatu. That is fantastic work by the Furia junglers. That's going to get the kill onto Gigo, but now he's in a little bit of trouble. Has to flash away. Destiny coming out. Tuts, I imagine, going to go right into that tri-brush, unless he just goes into melee range, question mark? Somehow.
The fight was looking good, but this Tuts TF is unfortunately looking anything but. It's a double kill for Ackerman, of all people. He comes away the big beneficiary in this one, but Los are able to turn that fight back around. It's now a 3k gold lead, a massive skirmish that, it looks like for all the world it was going to go Furia's way. Arrow from downtown connects onto Feisty, then they chain the gold card, and the rebuttal doesn't actually get too much value here. Slicing Maelstrom is good as it lands onto 3 people. Jojo misses out on the save on the W as well. Click on Tatu as opposed to getting it onto Gigo, but I don't think there was a response there either way. And then Touch just tosses his life away. He puts himself into the mixer of 3 people who pile all of their skill shots, all of their spells, all their cooldowns straight back onto him. And that just means that the fight is immediately turned. So this will be a 10 minutes to forget for Tuts, I'll be honest.
Man, I got nothing, dude. I got nothing. Going into melee range like that, you had that. And now Los Grandes are up 3,000 gold at 10 minutes. What a blunder, man. Tatu got himself the protoplasm. He got that shutdown, which, thank goodness. as the one vestige of something you can hold on to right here.
Shockingly,
This
it's
is-
Tatu again. Yeah.
It's getting ugly, dude.
But it is that sort of Furia lifeblood almost, the mascot of Brazilian League of Legends at this stage. Who's getting that kill, who's maybe just keeping the team intact. The one who's going to have to say, guys, we've picked the Nasus for me here. Let me do good things. I mean, Suts is doing well here, keeping spacing out the Mel, but not really earning himself any gold as Feisty's continually fishing. Already finished up that Blackfire touch, so mana problem's not a particular issue for him at this stage. Good ward here is going to protect Zest, in spite of the fact that he's able to walk up and quick place as well.
Getting
Oh,
a little bit
arrows
of something. Will it find its mark? Just barely. Almost hits Ackerman, but I think Gigo is none the wiser. Gets hit by a max range hook into the depth charge. Well, hang on a second here. The Dominus comes out. The Slicing Maelstrom didn't get anything from Zest. It's a ult. It doesn't really do anything. Tatu, as a hostile takeover comes through, gets the Wither down. Thank you very much. Shut down on the Tatu. This is the game we're playing, Roodood.
Yeah, we are feeding the Nasus, which honestly, not the worst case scenario here. Mel going to need a lot of Andres if we're looking to cut through what is obviously two really big health stackers, but I feel like that's very aggressive and a massive misplay by Los, if I'm being completely honest. They knew the arrow was coming up top. And honestly, by the angle of it, they can't really tell whether the Ashe and Renata are on their way either, but Furia have done this in literally this series. So the fact that they sort of get baited into it again, another big mistake. They're not going to be able to take this turret. Tartu can have his protoplasm procced, and there'll be gold going into Ayu.
All right.
So you're going to be sad that he's not a part of the local gold at the very least, but even still, those with a bit of a misstep, and definitely maybe the first big blunder that we've seen from them honestly, this series.
Yeah, as far as just like a what in God's green earth was that? Yeah, because they know that they've played it out all right, even in their losses. I put those more down to a plus onto Furia's side rather than a knock onto Los Grandes. Now they've got to reset here. Try to get back in form. Try to deal with something. Try to find a way to deal with Tatu. He's got a Sheen now. Those Qs are gonna get ready to be a little crunchier, certainly, as this game goes on.
I do love your vocabulary. Crunchier is the best terminology we could use to describe Nasus Qs at this stage, and you're exactly right. As the Nasus with 2 kills, with the Merc Treads as well, going to be very hard to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Equally a run at you style champion, very akin to the Olaf, obviously with a very different power curve and ability to make things happen. As Gigo getting focused a little bit out down on this bot side. Feisty reminded that he's got Blackfire touch by way of an auto attack from the turret there, and I think that for Los, it's about making sure they've got control over on this bot side, trying to find a little bit of gold back onto those structures, but Herald spawning in 90 seconds, and if they're looking to try and secure that objective, which with a 2k gold lead, you would expect that they would, about time for them to grab their chips and dip out of bot lane.
Minute and change. 3 minutes until the Dragon. Los Grandes again up 2-0 on the Dragon front. So going to force Furia into a potentially compromising position, or at least that's the goal, in about 2.5 minutes. They've got control over where Furia want to go, or at least certainly want to put them in an uncomfortable position and force that soul point. That Ocean Soul point is going to be huge. I mean, Ocean Soul on top of the set of healing in these more drawn-out fights that Los Grandes want to take. It'll feel really, really good. But if you can start stacking the Ocean Dragons onto Tuts, onto Gigo, onto Tatu, that is going to spell a very, very uncomfortable fight sequence potentially for Los Grandes, even as the scaling, I think, does favor their competition. Yes, Tatu's an infinite scaler, but Senna and Mel, it's really tough to deal with.
Yeah, Nasus is an infinite scaler, but he's a mid-game champion. So we are seeing Port Spot.
Oh! Whoa, Tuts showed up out of nowhere. This might still be a 1-for-1, though. Jensen Cristalero not going to find anything flashing forward. Nice ignite by Zest. So it will be a 1-for-1, assuming Tuts doesn't just, disconnect here. There we go. So a 1-for-1 as Zest quietly having a solid game on this Kenna. We haven't seen like that big slicing Maelstrom. Actually, I was going to say he's having a solid game. He's holding his own right now. The fights actually haven't been amazing from him.
Yeah, and this was Star 5, this was the pick that was to seal the draft or round out the draft here for Los. I do think that Furia protected against Zest's pick really well with a couple of bans, and obviously with this Nasa's pick as well, you don't really ever want to go for anything bigger. Touch is back in there, though.
Tuts is back in there, but he's got a Rod of Ages now, so he feels much more comfortable TPing into melee range of 3 enemy champions. So that's good,
Better off for
I suppose.
Yeah. The Twisted Fate obviously has health, still won't be building a Randuin's anytime soon, which could end up being moderately problematic, as it does look like it secured them the Herald. Zest is making his way out down to that bot side, has top lane quest ready, so could have TP'd in. With no ulti, the Kennen, not the big TP factor that you're looking for, and this is Furia securing themselves a Herald. It's in exchange for bot side prio. I'm looking at Ackerman on the map, I'm looking at Curse on the map. This is some good vision being laid down.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Drake spawning in 40 seconds time, this would be Los grabbing Soul Point if they can get it for themselves.
They got that mid lane tier 1. And they got that bottom lane tier 1 as well. So, I mean, we'll see what they can do on the other side of it. Still, kind of holding the gold lead here, are Furia, to manageable levels.
Yeah.
It should be said. And Tatu, he's keeping up with Curse as far as the gold is concerned. But the camps
That's really
maybe
the only
not quite
saving
as
grace
much.
currently for Furia. Like you say, it's not like they've got the best scaling composition. Yes, they've got really the Ashe is the only like super late game point of power that I'm looking towards to be the big ticket, the big deal breaker, as Gigo's now beefing as well.
Gigo, yeah, he got in. Gonna get right back out. So Los Grandes will force Soul Point, which is gonna feel really, really good for them. Gonna get a pay right into the tower. Top lane tier 2. Not gonna be much longer for this world. So you've got a long lane to play through if you're Furia. And the gold lead dwindles down just that little bit. Down to 2,000 now. But Los Grandes, Zest going for the all-in here onto Tuts. Gets the gold card out. A lot of health on the Twisted Fate, but now a lot of resources being committed to try to catch the Furia mid laner. You get the gold card out and gets absolutely nothing. Zest with his 3rd kill of the game.
Yeah, good to see there. Tuts, I mean, he's having a game of all time right now, but he didn't flash there, which was the best thing that I can say about that sequence, because he knows he's dead, which should he be there? Different question. His team have already backed off, yada yada. Either way, it's a pickup for Los, and it's a continuation of their moderately sized snowball at this stage. They've got 3 dragons to their name. They're constantly trading these objectives. And I think in fairness to Furia, this is benefiting them, because you'd expect Los to be the ones pushing the tempo with this kind of a lead.
Yeah.
I do just think that it's actually quite difficult for ML to be the massive snowball. Like, it's typical with most mid lane mages. Those control mages aren't the best snowballers. They just turn up to fights and do really well. So when Curse is even, when Zest is not necessarily even, but not super far ahead, it's quite hard to find a catalyst for Los to try and push this game even faster.
Yeah, it's just going to have to be, I mean, I think it's going to come down to Zest in team fights, right? That's where you're going to get your outsized advantage, right? Your fight flipping power, potentially. That's where that's going to come from. But Zest hasn't found that big kind of, leaving your mark on the game moment just yet. But that's not to say that he can't. It's just he's whiffed on a couple of, not far from cataclysmic opportunities as far as the potential downside. But Los Grandes, like you said, Root, I think you're right to point that out, is how do they accelerate this game? And, Feisty, he's been a good player. He's having a good game on the Mel. Tough champion to do that on. I think it is going to come down to Zest to get you through the mid game and then give the ball to Doo on this Senna.
It's going to be a long time before he can carry it all the way. Obviously, Black Cleaver picked up as well now, as well as having had the Shiv for a good long while. You can already see that, well, Furia have recognized, hey, Tuts, you're having a stinker. Let's let Tatu grab some stacks. As he walks up, +6 is over there. Curse has found Tuts now.
Tuts able to get out of dodge just a little bit, but Curse flashing forward, wants to keep the chase on. Ayu getting decent damage down. There's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well. Volley not going to find anything. Los Grandes want the re-engage. Ackerman flashes forward with the dredge line, but Ayu able to avoid it with a flash of his own.
Alrighty, so a lot of summoner spells exchanged there. We've got Summoner Heal used by Jojo, flash from Ayu, flash from Tuts. Neither of those summoner spells are going to be up for the pivotal Ocean Drake. in 2 minutes' time. And it is Ocean Soul for Los if they get there. They're looking for a fight themselves, though.
They want it. Can they lock down somebody? Doo-doo. Gonna get away with the black mist, or he's gonna keep himself a little bit more covered. Gigo looking for the big old Renekton flank. See if they spotted him out, or if it's just a coincidence that Curse and Feisty are heading over there, just trying to clear the wards, clear their flanks. Gigo now gonna walk over that control ward. Dragging up in a minute 30. This isn't a fight over an objective necessarily. But if it's a big enough fight, if it's a big enough swing, the Baron is on the table. We're past that 20-minute mark. But Soul Point, I mean, it's just too crucial. The Ocean Dragon, just too valuable. I think that's where we're going to see the battle lines drawn. You see the teams really opting for control over this bot river. The focus is here.
And the Ocean Soul or Los would be a massive payday. It's not like there's insane burst on Furia's side, right? The Renekton and the Twisted Fate, they can probably lock down one target.
Yeah.
And yeah, if they do that, then amazing. That target probably dies. But if that target's not Feisty, I don't think that they've got enough to get them through what is objectively a very good composition at sustaining in team fights, with Amel looking to keep range, with a Senna topping people off, with Xin Zhao and the innate healing in his kit. That on top of an Ocean Soul feels really untenable for Furia in these fights. But we'll keep our eye out. We'll see which of these two teams can secure themselves this Dragon. 30 seconds away, it's Los who have committed all 5 members here. Yes, Zester's found himself a Gunblade and a Proto Belt now. We've got TP for Feisty, but they're all together. They're all sticking around. They know that this is do or die for them. A spot at MSI is on the line for them here. So if they lose this game from this position of power, they're going to be kicking themselves. So they're going to do everything they can to make this as easy as possible.
1000% Gigo trying to get that flank off, but he gets caught with his pants down, and that might mean the soul goes over to Feisty and company.
Zest has no ulti here, and that's a really big teamfight ult that Los would have been looking to play around, but maybe the numbers advantage is going to prove to be enough here for you. Tartu's walking up to the top side. They've conceded. Los Grandes do just enough, and it's that guy from the top lane, Zest, with just the perfect marking. Knows that this is the plan that Gigo's going for. He's played his fair share of Renekton games as well. Yep. Cuts him off. The team collapse. 4x4, this series might not be over all just yet.
No, it might be going to a crucial game 5. Roodood, I mean, how much are we putting on the draft here? The Susan of it all. I can't get that out of my head.
Well, Tartu's got 579 stacks, so if he gets into a fight, he hurts. His Withered Curse, but that's about it. As now a TP comes in from Gigo to try and make this difference maker happen. 5v5, arrow hits Ackerman.
Curse trying to get onto and just CC Tatu. Curtain call goes out, or excuse me, not the curtain call, the Crescent Guard. The Berserk doesn't get anybody. Dawning Shadow over the top. Curse is staying, or Studio staying safe. Tuts getting autoed down here. The W lands. Curse is going to follow up onto Jojo. Feisty getting the kill credit. They can't find the fight they're looking for. Furia are just on the back foot.
Ocean Soul, baby. Feisty was chunked down to about 30% HP. If he doesn't fall, he gets topped off. He's got the Senna. He's got the healing coming in from that Ocean Soul as well. And now it's in complete darkness that Los are just going to take this Baron. Tartu, not bothered. He's waiting for his blue to respawn. And it's a second fight in a row where Furia find one kill and they find the objective off the back of it.
This is ugly, man.
I think Furia are being too respectful here. How many times do you see teams try to contest a Baron when they've only lost their support? Like, that feels like a given here. Maybe the Ocean Soul is just a little too much, but...
Yeah, maybe you blew a couple big ultimates. Like, Tatu doesn't have the Fury of the Sands, I guess. Like, I kind of agree with you, right? They're not down. It's not like they're down 10,000 gold.
And you can see here the power of the healing, the power of the shielding. Feisty just getting Ocean Soul popped off really consistently throughout this. Nice W as well from Dudu. Finds the mark. Let's take down Jojo with that. Now they're the ones setting up 3.5 minutes rather on the Elder Dragon. So plenty of time for Los to start putting some structural damage down. I'd like to see them try and take the tier 2s out on the map. If they can push for a tier 3 in mid or bot lane, that's even better here. With the Baron at their backs, the outer turrets feel like a formality. Let's wait and see what comes after those.
See if maybe Furia can get some sort of catch. And a Enchanted Crystal Arrow, a gold card. Gigo having some alone time on the top side. Trying to get something, trying to get an inhibitor down so that Los Grandes have a little bit more to think about. And they actually might be able to. You see the On My Way pigs coming down. Gigo actually getting a little bit of work done.
Feisty still has teleport, so this is a just looking to match, but they're going to lose the turret, I think. No, barely stands strong.
For now.
I think that is really important here that Feisty now has to actually push. And Los are always looking like a team that want to play on 2 waves as opposed to play on that 3, where Furia are more than happy to go to that side. This now delays the Baron. And I think, honestly, getting some recalls in is absolutely fine. You're going to look to try and push once again. But this time, look to use all three lanes. You can see the pings on the minimap. Help me mid, help me top. Let's try and take that turret as well. Let's get as much gold in as we can. And then maybe we can look to find the finishing touches. Maybe we can find the Elder and win the game through that. But this is a situation where we're looking to pretty much flip it versus Tartu, who's been relatively prolific with his smites his entire career. So it's not the easiest prospect for Los here. Still a little bit of me curious.
Certainly. See what they can do. Jojo taken very low before anything kicks off. This is still Los Grandes' turn, if you will, until this Baron wears off, until you set up for that Elder Dragon. And crucially, because Gigo wasn't able to finish the job on that top side, there's no counterpoint of pressure on the map right now that Los Grandes have to worry about. They are the ones that are in control.
We say that, but look at the bot lane as well. Feisty now probably going to have to go back and answer that wave as it's Tuts pushing to his heart's content down on this bot side. Happy again wants, as mentioned, to play on 3 waves to sacrifice a little bit, so they sacrifice the tier 2 turret. Tuts has Sweeper, he's playing the Twisted Fate, so it's pretty much mandated, but would have been good for him to get some lingering vision down there. If they could have found a way to maybe get a flank angle, a flank ward for Gigo that's not going to get swept out. Maybe something like a pink ward in just a rogue area of the map might have done them quite nicely. Not going to be the case, however, as Los now, they've got all of their gold, they've gone back to base, they've spent it, and let's take a look at some of the luxury items that have been picked up. It's Void Staff for Zest, it's a Shadow Flame for Feisty, whereas for Duddy, it's actually that QSS. So an element of safety now for this center as well.
Yeah, got to be pumping out that healing and shielding like we've talked about. You can do that. You're playing almost you're playing a 6v5 effectively, it feels like. Los Grandes have complete control right now over the vision, over the dragon, over everything. Can they finish the job? They've got a good lead here. 4,500. The dragon, the ocean soul, like we've been saying. Is it going to be enough for them to finish the job? Both teams playing very respectfully here. You see Tatu looking for his own flank now, but Zest marking him very well, and Zest crucially up 3 levels on him. This is Tatu, but this is a jungle Nasus right now. He doesn't have the kind of resources he did when he was on the Olaf. Can he finish the job here? Slicing Maelstrom goes in. Fury of the Sands popped as well. Now the rest of Los Grandes showing up. Will it be too little too late? Zest taking very low. Another shutdown for Tatu. Can they swing the fight here? There's no sustained damage just yet. Ayu trying to get onto Curse, and he actually does. Crescent Call doesn't do anything. Crescent Guard, excuse me. But now it's a 5v3. The health bars are really low, though. Did Furia take their turn too early here? Ackerman goes in with the hook. A shutdown comes in onto Curse, actually. Triple kill for Tatu. When he gets into a fight, he hurts.
Every single time it's Furia coming up trumps, and it's Tatu who makes it work for his team. Now, they don't have enough to go for the dragon to secure the Elder just yet. They go back to base, they get their HP back, and all of a sudden, it's Furia right back in the driver's seat. Feisty and Dudu, they're spotted, they're on vision, they know that they are looking to contest. Can this 2-man band with an Ocean Soul make it work? If they step too far forward, Ego and Tuts will round that corner. Flash on Tuts is ready.
This is the Elder. This is for all the marbles, or certainly most of them. Tuts got that gold card in tow. The hawk shot, making sure that they know exactly where everyone is. Do they have the damage? Feisty can get in there in a hurry. Zest can get in there in a hurry. Roodood, they might not have the damage here. They got to finish this thing off. They've got to finish this thing off to have a chance here. Very nicely done. Now there goes the ultimate from Renata. Not going to find anybody, but they've got Elder. But this is still an unfair fight. Los Grandes bought themselves enough time to where they could wipe the Elder off the map right now. Can they catch Gigo? Can they catch somebody? If you're a Furia fan, you are praying that the answer is a no. But it's going to Baron is up, Roodood.
Yeah, Los need to rush this as fast as possible here, but I don't think they've got the DPS. Mel's not consistent uptime. The Senna, awful at trying to take Barons. And that's going to be both neutral objectives now secured for Furia. They get to go back to base. They pick up all of their HP. That comes back, and now they can work their way out onto the map. I think Los are very lucky to have got away with that one. You know, even sticking around there in the face of the Elder. Flash from Feisty was burned, and they need that summoner spell to try and take these team fights as best as possible. The good thing for Los is that they bought themselves so much time with how much of a lead that they had that they can probably wait this out. But we know Furia, we know what they're like. They are going to force this advantage right down Los's neck and secure themselves the championships from this spot.
That's certainly what they're going to hope to do. And, if they're not going to, then, man, these two neutral objectives are certainly going to help them out to force a fight. Zest just a little too far forward. This was the fight that started everything.
Yeah, and I think if he flashes and then proto belts, he actually buys the space to get Ocean Soul to get healed up and be fine. But you're exactly right in the fight here, 4x4 Curse. Taken to such low HP before he even pops the Crescent Guard. By the time he gets in there, he's already dead. And that's a really big misstep. Curse, one of the players who's been relatively consistent through this playoffs run. And then the fact that the hook connects actually dooms Ackerman after the fact. Ayu's flashed far enough away to get to safety. And then they actually end up falling. Look at live, though. As 2 turrets have already been taken down. The Elder wears off in about 30 seconds' time. Furia are doing good to make use of it right now.
Yeah, and let's be clear. I mean, the Elder was as much a denial as anything, right? Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the Reflect doesn't land. Feisty not in the right hitbox to send that one swinging back towards Furia. Just a few seconds left on that Elder buff.
Just give the
one thing that Los Grandes do have is range, though. They can actually fight okay, all things considered, into this Baron push. You see them actually trading blows decently here with Furia. They're not getting out without any battle scars.
Oh, I mean, this is very, very dicey right now. There's a flank angle for Zest. It is spotted, though. He's going to be seen on vision.
Zest Jingu looking for it. Yeah, he sees that he got spotted by that control ward. Ackerman going forward with the cover of the Black Mist. Trying to get a cheeky hook onto somebody. The health bars are really low by Furia. I don't know how I feel about them sticking around here, Roodood. I mean, I know they've got the Baron, but they've got to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just so dangerous for Los to try and take a fight here. They're playing up against the Baron. If they lose it, they lose the series and lose their shot at going to MSI. Los, they hold on to all of their inhibitors. They do not crumble under the pressure of an Elder and a Baron. But Furia have clawed their way right back into this game.
Can never count these boys out. As for dang sure, they will show you something that you have not seen. For sure. If you are watching these guys for the first time, 1, welcome. We're happy you're here. 2, this is kind of what they're known for, man. Tatu 5-1 on this Nasus, man. I just can't with this Nasus too. Oh my gosh, it just. I really hope Furia win, if nothing else, because if they lose this one, then lose the series, you're going to look back at a couple of these drafts and a couple of just coaching staff mistakes. I mean, coaching staff and players. I know it's a collaborative process these days, but oh man, just it's just a not like this for me. You know what I mean?
A couple of decisions that you wish you hadn't made, be it team, be it the players, be it the coaches. You are exactly right. Exactly the right time, though, for you, as we go into this lull, presumably before an Elder in 1 minute, 50 seconds. If you are new here, if you are just joining us for the Grand Finals, first of all, welcome. But second of all, I'd like to remind people this is a fan-run broadcast. We are doing this off of our own backs for the love of Brazil here at this point. Any support that you can throw our way, be it just showing people that we exist through your own social media, be it through supporting us through subscriptions or follows or anything like that, everything is greatly appreciated, because we are looking at this series now with Los almost clawing their way back into the game and now down in this fourth one. They could lose out on this series entirely here from being in a position of power. We need to keep our eyes out, and we need to see who it is that can take this series, and we'd love nothing more than to do it with you guys by our side.
Yeah, if you want to get involved, if you liked what you've seen, if you didn't like what you see, okay, I suppose, but get involved. We've got links in our Twitch description for our community Discord. We've got a fantasy league in there. Throw us a sub if you want, a follow, all that good stuff. It does help. We are at the mercy of the algorithm gods. Praise be unto them, etc., etc. But like Roodood was saying, we do this off our own backs. This is completely volunteer work, as Ackerman also finds a hook onto Gigo. We do it because we love this region, this league, and hope we can inspire you to to do so as well. Another Elder is up, Roodood. After all our yapping, we
30
finally made
seconds
it
away.
to where the battle
Yeah.
lines are going to be drawn here.
And Zest is pushing out towards Tuts on that top side.
Oh, Gigo. Enchanted Crystalero does hit, and Tuts going from the other flank. Now Dudu in some trouble here. It's a 1v1 with him against Tuts, but Feisty going to wrap around and try to get there. Hostile Takeover goes out. Tuts, or Curse, excuse me, he goes down, but he's got the GA to get himself back up. Doesn't have the Crescent Guard up anymore. Gigo gets forward. Gigo gets the stun. The hook doesn't land to try to pull him back from Ackerman. Now the TP back here from
dead.
Tuts. He's able to come back. Jungler down. Surely this is a free Elder, Roodood.
You would like to think, but I feel like Los have got another thing coming here. They've still got Zest, they've still got Ackerman, and Feisty still has Flash. If there's ever a chance to go for it, it's when you've got Kennen ulti.
Let's see, Zest in there with the slicing maelstrom. He gets Ayu. If he can get Tatu, it might be curtains, but Tatu, the hero with the smite, might have just saved the series for his squad to secure the Elder. Zest did his darndest, but it was not enough. Los Grandes will fall in this fight. A double for Tatu on the jungle Nasus. This kid does not stop. He secures the dragon. He's up out of his seat. He is cranked up, yelling things that I imagine we would not be able to repeat if we could hear them. Banging on his chest because he knows what he's done. He knows that he is the face of this league and that he and his squad are going to MSI.
Your run ends here, Los. A valiant run through the lower bracket, but Furia paid heed to it. Two members, trying as they might, will not be able to stop Furia in their ascent to MSI.
God, I would love it. Keep your eyes on the Twitter because CBLOL is pretty good about this. To hear what Tatu is saying right now. I mean, look at just the just unbridled just expression of emotion as he gets to go back to an international tournament. He says, I'm him. Dude, put me on the jungle Nasus. Watch what the F I'm gonna do. Furia will be your international representatives right into the group stage, boys and girls. It is not gonna be easy at MSI, but these boys are up for the challenge.
And in a game where they had to fight for it, they really had to earn their spot. They were down 3k gold, but little by little, they clawed their way back into it, and they found themselves a pick onto Zest. They found just the littlest of advantages, and then they took that into an Elder, to a Baron, and then they repeated that process into another Elder, into the game. Tatu, the first one here, hands on the trophy, lift that bad boy up. A triple kill in the final fight, a triple kill in so many of the others as well. His jungle Nasus, somehow, after being bullied out of the early game, carried this Furia side all the way to MSI, all the way to Korea.
Somehow, man, the boys are back, and what a way to do it, man. It was they played their game, man. They did not shy away from how they like to play. It wasn't always pretty. That's the thing, man. Furia, their game has some rough edges, right? It is not always simple, but man, when it works, the upside is as high as anything I think that we've sent internationally, and certainly the belief and the vibes and the balance of youth and experience that this squad has, right? Tatu is obviously the face of it, but he's the least experienced guy on this team. Gigo's been international 10,000 times. Then there's Tatu. Tuts has been international once. He's been in the league since 2020. This is his third title now, if I'm not mistaken. Ayu's been in the league for 6 years. Jojo's been in the league for, since before the pandemic, I think.
It's a team that has done so much sort of domestically outside of obviously Tatu, who feels like he's really only just started with those couple of titles already under his belt. You know, we're beginning to start to wonder, what is Robo's top end going to last forever? It might not. Is it going to be one of these players that takes down that crown again? It might not be, but for Tatu, obviously the mascot, the journeyman for Furia. What a day! Revel in your successes. Revel in the win that you've got for yourself. Enjoy this moment, and most importantly, enjoy the practice you're going to get, because you're going off to the big leagues now.
Going off to Korea. I don't know the practice you get there, but obviously the chance to represent your country, and 5 Brazilians as well, Roodood. That's always exciting when it is all homegrown talent coming from Brazil. The Loud Dynasty, look, Croc was as Brazilian as they came by the end of things, right? And Root will forever be a legend in Brazil, one of the best AD carries to play south of the equator. But it is cool when you see 5 homegrown talents going to represent their country at the international stage. And again, I'm glad it was them. No disrespect to Los Grandes. I think the ceiling and the floor are both higher with Furia. Los Grandes might have, look, if you're able to take down Furia, what's to say you can't make some noise internationally? But Furia, I do think, gives us the best shot of making some noise at MSI. What, again, is going to be a rock fight of a tournament. MSI is a brutal tournament.
It is. It's just so difficult because the saturation of teams. You're playing against first and second seeds from around the world, so there's no room to sneak a 4th seed LEC win,
Yeah.
and play the we're better than EU card. No, it's you have to beat everybody. You have to beat the representatives, and everybody's sending the best. So good luck in that.
Yeah, have fun, and we'll see you back here in Split 2. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. Roodood, pleasure as always, brother. 4 games, your final score. Furia, they're your Split 1 champions in the CBLOL. One of our favorites coming into it. They overcame Red. They overcame a feisty, no pun intended, Los Grandes miracle lower bracket run. And now we will see them in Korea. To our producer, Trajan, today. Big shout out to Trajan for making this stream happen. Without him, it'd be, we'd be running off some really janky assets, and it wouldn't be, it'd be messy. So shout out to Trajan for all the work he does. Follow him over at the NLC as well, if that's kind of your thing, and the UK leagues as well. Follow Roodood over on the LPL as well if you are up at Demon Hours, or if you live in that sort of time zone. You can catch him over there. I know they've got quite the WE centric miracle run going on over in China as well. So that should be fun.
I'm on that show tomorrow, seeing if they can book their spot to MSI as well, up against Top Esports. And don't forget to follow 4x4 on the NACL as well for something a little bit more close to home. So all good stuff from everybody on our broadcast team, hoping to make sure that we can continue giving you these Brazilian broadcasts as best as possible. We'll be back for Split 2, obviously, and hopefully with some international glory to talk about.
Yep. We'll have probably one more podcast episode as well. Yeah, it's another thing. We've got a podcast. You can find that, on Spotify. It's called Gringos Liberados. It's also on our YouTube channel, which is linked again in the Discord. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting. Please, anything you can do to help us out, we really appreciate it. If not, just you being here does help us out as well, though. So for all those people, I've been 4x4. Congrats to Furia. We will see them at MSI. Until next split, catch you later.